Evening, everyone. We will officially call to order this workshop for the City of Manvel, July 1st, 2024. Councilman Ed Perry said that he will be here. He is running behind, but he will tune into the live stream as he can. We have our first item on the workshop, which is the budget presentation for public safety. So Dan, we'll kind of turn this over to you first. Council, we do have an executive session on the workshop. So if we have whatever time we have remaining, we will step into that executive session. And then if we need to step back out to start the regular meeting and then step back into executive session, we will. I just want to make sure that we don't rush the chief, or I should say the director of public safety, and want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions and comments there. So Manager Dan, we'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, so we officially kicked off the budget season at the last meeting and got some good input from council. And so as promised, we're going to go through each department presentation. We're just going to have one tonight. That is the Department of Public Safety, which consists of the police, fire marshal, code enforcement, animal control, and emergency management. So he's got a pretty big task ahead, but he's ready. He's ready? He is ready. Here we go.
As ready as I think we can get. Good evening, Council, Mayor. Here we are again. Another year's gone by, and we get to do our budget presentations. I want to try to make this as quick as I can and as thorough as I can. There's several divisions that we have to go through, and I have a lot to try to pass along to give y'all a little bit more of what we do. The Department of Public Safety consists of 5 divisions, like the city manager said: the police, fire marshal, code enforcement, animal control, and emergency management. Okay, we're going to start off with the police. Just to give everybody an idea of what we consisted of. The police is the chief of police, executive assistant. We have division captains, criminal investigations, patrol sergeants, patrol corporals, patrol officers, a division of traffic officers, community relations, and communications personnel. The police staffing consists of 34 sworn officers, 8 communications personnel, 2 civilian employees, which are the executive assistant and our records clerk. The personnel requests we're looking at for this year, this gives you a breakdown of the past years from the FY22 to our current budget year we're looking at. What is in red is what we are looking to request to add to the police. We're looking at adding 2 police officers, and we want to reclassify 1 dispatcher as a lead communications officer. That will increase the total overall police force to 47. The next slide, you'll see the activity measures for the past few years from FY22 all the way through our budgeted amount of FY25. As you can see through these calls of service, there's a significant increase in our calls for service, our traffic stops, citations that we issued, arrests. Pretty much everything has increased over the past year. With the growth that's coming up, these numbers are going to continue to go up, and they're going to continue to increase. One significant thing I want to bring your attention to is the calls for service. The calls for service are basically calls we receive from the public and calls that are self-initiated by the officer, such as traffic stops, closed patrols, watches, and such as that. And you'll see from the FY22 actual number of 16,370, we're actually estimating this year, at the end of the year, to be 42,600. That's over double of what we have seen in the past. I added this slide. We did this several years ago, our 5-year personnel projections. Basically what I did is I updated the 5-year personnel projections because we're at that point. I think we did this about 4 years ago. I just wanted to add this slide and update it all the way through 2029 to give us another projections. Basically what it is, we go through sworn personnel, our population projections. It gives us the administrative, the patrol. The next slide, just so it's our CID division, civilian personnel, and our records division. This year, we need to look at replacing the vehicles. We have pretty much ran these units as far as we can run them. We have units that are 2016 models and 2018 models that are pushing close to 150, 160,000 miles. Basically, what's happened is they've worn out their lifespan. It's no longer cost efficient to keep them running. We actually have one of them that is basically dead in the parking lot that we can't get it fixed. It's going to cost a large sum of money. So a lot of these units we need to start replacing. 4 of these units we're looking to replace with the new personnel requests that I've added or requested. We're going to need to add patrol units to fulfill the needs of those 2 officers as well. So when we look at the equipment needs, we go to the vehicle replacement. We're looking at 4 patrol units. Of course, you have to have the emergency equipment graphics, 1 CID unit. The equipment we're looking for, some of the equipment is for like CID, some uniform jacket supplies, just, minor stuff. On the patrol side, this is something that Captain Day has requested on patrol to help them out. And I'm probably not going to say it right, but one of them is a TruNarc. Is that what it's called? TruNarc. It's a TruNarc drug tester, and it's a very sophisticated piece of equipment. Right now, the officers, they find a car or somebody with narcotics. We have what we call field kits, and they're just little field kits that we have to purchase for the different narcotics we look at or we're testing. This TruNarc drug tester is an electronic device that scans what the actual drug is. So if we have a pill or a powder or a liquid, they put this tester on it and it just scans. It's kind of like the metal tester that you see on some of these shows. They can put it up there and they determine what the metal is. This will actually give us a good idea of what the drug actually is and give us an idea of what charges to file based off of that. It's a state-of-the-art equipment. It's pricey, but it's a good piece of equipment. Another thing we're looking at doing is we want to replace all our body armor for the patrol officers to a rifle-rated patrol vest. The vests are similar to what they're wearing now, the soft body armor, but these vests are actually rated for patrol for rifle rounds and not just your handguns or your small calibers. Another thing we're looking at is holographic sights for patrol rifles. One other thing that's not on here, but it's on another slide, is I want to a couple pieces of equipment that I'm looking to purchase that will help out in our traffic division and our traffic data and traffic stats are radar trailers, which basically you set out on the side of the road as a preventative measure, but it also helps come up with the data that we need for traffic enforcement. Kind of like the counters we use now, but it gives people a visual sign. We've used them several times through the constable's office. Our latest time we used them was out there on Meridiana Parkway, and it was very proactive in what we were trying to do. Again, some of the vehicles, this is for the new, if the new positions are approved, patrol units, and of course the emergency equipment graphics. This actually has the traffic control trailers on them. A new drone that is comparable to the drone we bought last year that has been a vital tool for us. The one we bought last year is we've actually captured several suspects and missing persons, searching for missing persons out at Rodeo Palms. The personnel, we're looking for 2 officers, of course, the equipment. The dispatch supervisor, we want to reclassify, and that's the total equipment and personnel we're looking for. The programs that we have are doing through the police department, there's an Are You OK program. We're still trying to expand that. We have one participant, our community relations officer. She contacts her regularly, visits with her. Citizen Police Academy, we're still trying to resurrect. We're still trying to get the community support to help us with that program. We did our second Teen Citizen Police Academy this year, which was a huge success. Of course, we always have the trunk or treat, feed the need, shop with a cop. Department Cadet Program, we actually have 3 graduating out of the cadet program, 1 tomorrow and 2 more next week. And then that will complete our roster for our patrol division. And then another program we're starting to look at starting in the fall is our Police Explorer program. We have specialized units now. Everybody knows we have the Air Division unit, which is our drone unit. We have several drones that are in the cars. that are out on the streets in our traffic units as well as in our patrol sergeants. I can't expand how well that these drones have worked for us in the recent months at what they've used them for. Our traffic division, we've increased our traffic officers to 3 traffic officers, and they have done a tremendous job in traffic enforcement. One of the big things is out on Highway 288. We were seeing an increase of motor vehicle collisions. Most of them were major accidents with rollovers, ejections, and over half of them, we found that the operators were intoxicated. So we sent them out there, and they did a fantastic job out there decreasing the traffic accidents out there. But we use them in other places as well, and they've done a really good job on our complaints and our traffic complaints. Last year, in the budget process, we budgeted for a special response team. In light of all the mass casualty shootings we've been seeing here lately, it's just a matter of time when we have something here. So we budgeted for a special response team, which has, the officers have been picked, they've been selected, we're purchasing the equipment, we're getting all the equipment for them, and they actually started training about 2 months ago. So hopefully within the next 6 months or so, we'll have everybody trained to a point where we'd feel confident to where we can start deploying the special response team if needed. Incentives and compensation is one thing that I wanted to bring back to light. Is over the past 2 years, we have looked at incentives for officers. The 3 things that we kind of put off to the side because we were trying to do this in phases was a shift differential pay, field training officer pay, and bilingual pay. And that is something that I would like to present to council for recommendation. Just to recap, for the police, we have 4 patrol units we're asking for, 2 additional patrol officers. We need to have patrol units to accommodate the additional personnel. We want to convert all the body armor to rifle-resistant armor, create additional incentive pay for officers and communications personnel, purchase investigative equipment to assist CID in patrolling investigations. To conclude this portion, the City of Manvel will continue to be in a significant growth pattern. We're all seeing this. We'll need to keep up with the growth of the city with personnel and necessary equipment. With the help of council, we'll be able to meet the needs of the city and continue to provide the essential services to this community and all that pass through. I'm going to move on to the next division, which is the fire marshal.
Chief, can we take a pause there and see if there's any questions or comments from council about the police side of it, and then we'll move on?
As you wish.
All right, because there was a lot of information that was there, and I know you're going to cover a lot more. So, council, regarding the budget presentation from the chief about the police department, do you guys have any comments or questions or feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go Councilwoman or Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento, and then Councilman Lands after that.
I'll go second. I'm still making notes,
Councilman?
if that's okay.
Evening, Chief.
Good evening.
I just had just a clarification. So we have the sheet that shows the equipment needs and then the additional equipment needs. So we have, is it a total of 6 patrol units?
The additional equipment needs with the extra 2 vehicles would be if the personnel are approved. See, if we approve 2 extra personnel, we bring 2 more on, we have to fulfill the equipments to provide for them to do the job.
Okay. Okay.
It would be 6 total is what we're looking for, correct? 4 replacement, 2 new.
So total, we're looking at, what, 513,000 if we got everything that's on our wish list, right?
I won't have to agree with you. I don't want to back up into the slides. I don't have a paper copy
Okay.
with me.
That's the 2 sheet total, yeah, okay.
Yes.
No, I think it'd be more than that. Anyhow, okay, thank you, Chief.
That's just rough numbers.
Thanks, Councilman. Mayor Pro Tem?
First, I'm just trying to keep up with all of that. It's a lot. So I was looking at the personnel requests, and it seems like for captains from 2023 to 2024, the budget was for 1 more, and then it stays the same for this year. But based on the growth that we have, why are we not asking for another one?
We increased our captain's division by 1 this year. It
Yeah.
was 2.
It was 2.
It was 2, but we increased to 1 this year.
Because okay, so it was 2 in 2023, and then 2024 is 3, and so we're asking to keep it the same.
Correct.
Okay, and then I noticed also, the lead communications officer that we do not currently have, but we do have a community relations officer. Can we, I guess, just go into a little bit more detail on that end? Why we need a lead communications officer, or who we plan on?
My plan is for right now is we don't have a place to put a dispatch supervisor. The new police department will have an office for a dispatch supervisor. But we need an immediate supervisor in our dispatch area right now for specific needs, such as audits and such as that. So the goal is to have a lead dispatcher, the one that can take care of all of that information, such as the auditing, the records checks, the checks and balances of what they do. And then when we move into the new police department next year, if I have the money available, I was going to request, and of course, it's going to be June, July, August time period. I don't know exactly when, but I was going to request if we have enough money in the budget for the salaries that we look at a dispatch supervisor, and then we can hire a dispatch supervisor or promote a dispatch supervisor and just backfill that spot. That'll keep us with our 8 dispatchers and then a dispatch supervisor.
And then a supervisor. So that's what lead communications officer means.
It's going to
It's a
be.
supervising
It's
dispatcher.
going to be a supervisory role, correct?
Okay, so that's like a brand-new position that we've never had.
Well, we have had it, we just haven't filled it. We have had it in the past. But when we started increasing our dispatch roles, that was, our lead dispatcher basically went to another agency, and we just didn't fill that spot back.
Got it.
We were using Michelle as the lead dispatcher, with Captain McLean being the supervisor over dispatch.
Okay, that brings me a little clarification. And then it looks like we had 8, or last year we had 7 communication, which are dispatch. That's what communications means?
Yes.
Okay. So dispatch, and then we added 1 more. So that's why the 7 went down for 2025, and then the 1. So we basically shifted that, so someone gets a promotion.
Correct.
Or we find somebody.
Well, no, basically what we're doing is we're just reclassifying. They will still work their shift that they're working now, but their title will change to lead dispatch.
Okay.
We'll still have 8 communications personnel.
In total.
In total. 1 will have lead
One will be a
dispatch.
supervisor.
Correct.
7 will be regular lead.
Correct. Next year, it's my hopes that we can create a dispatch supervisor, and that'll be an addition person to the 8 dispatch personnel.
Okay, but we don't need a new,
No, ma'am.
it's not like a new, we're not requesting new personnel, it's just an adjustment in titles.
It's correct. It's a
And possibly a
reclassification.
raise,
Yes, that's
a
factored
deserved
in.
raise.
That's factored in.
Okay. And then the last question I had was the same thing for assistant to chief, and so total personnel is 47, so just up 2.
Correct.
Okay, I guess that's kind of conservative when we look at the rate that we're growing and thinking about everything you just said, where our calls for service are forecasted to increase about 400 calls in the year. How many calls are we getting daily, average?
I don't have that number.
Pulling out
I
a
don't have that
calculator
number.
and dividing 42,600 by 362, okay. And then traffic stops, these are just forecasted based on population or on the current,
Based on trend.
on trend, on our current trend?
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's all I have for this time.
All right, thank you. Do you? Okay, we'll go you and then Councilman.
Oh, I had one more after him, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Chief, how many drones do we have? 4?
4.
How many, and so we need 1 more?
So we have 3 of the small ones. We have 3 of the small thermal ones. The average flight time on those is about 15 minutes because the batteries decline after you buy them, of course.
Of course.
They say 22 minutes, but it's actually about 15. And then one of the bigger ones that we can follow for a longer period of time and zoom out and do more with. So we need another one of those because it also helps in inclement weather. You can fly in inclement weather. The other 3 smaller ones you cannot. So the smaller ones basically used for patrol, gets a call, kid's missing, they can launch it right then and there. And it gives me or another pilot 20 minutes to get there, and then we can launch the big one. We have more use for that.
So this would be just like the one we bought last year?
It'll be just like the one we got last year, yes.
Okay. And then the traffic control trailers, that's the one, the little, you're going this fast?
Yes.
Yeah, so another positive to those is we have 3 mobile flock cameras right now that we purchased a year or 2 ago. And now that we have all the flock cameras coming into the city, we'll be able to place those on those trailers also. So they will also capture.
The trailers come
all that
they
stuff.
come equipped with data collection and the ability to install the flock cameras.
Yeah, and since
They
we
don't
don't
write
have
a
the
ticket, do
cameras.
they? Do they write a ticket, send you a ticket?
No, I wish they could
Okay.
write tickets, but they can't.
Oh, no.
No, the cameras are just license plate readers. It's not a speed camera.
Okay.
I don't think the state of Texas would allow that.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, thank you.
All right, Councilman Bonner?
Chief, one question about on the vehicle replacement. Do we currently use any type of fleet management program?
No, sir.
Is there a recommendation from anything you know of on the recommended lifespan of a vehicle? Is it the 150,000 miles or, and I understand there's other things can happen, but
It was our hopes, and I think we're still way early in this to make a determination on it. But once we went to the take-home vehicle policy, I think that would extend the life of the cars even longer. That's my understanding. Never been in a procedure or a city that has take-home police cars. If you think about it, it all points that it would work. But we're way early into that to try to figure it out. So
I guess what I'm leading towards is there a plan to where we can, in the future, start working towards to where you're not having to replace them all at the same time versus staggered? And I don't know how you get there when you start in the beginning with having them all new.
There is the city I used to work for, we had a plan. And we replaced cars every 2 years. So every 2 years, we would replace the cars. And if we staggered it through the year models, then you would replace that year model every 2 years. We were averaging 85 to 90,000. If we hit 100,000 miles on a car, that car is being driven. But every 2 years, we replaced a unit, and we were replacing anywhere from 3 to 4 units a year. But we only had a fleet of 12 and 13. We have a significantly larger fleet now, so.
Once you started the take-home, you did see a reduction in the mileage per year, though, didn't you?
I have not looked at that number yet.
I mean, you would think that's one of the
That,
things
that,
that you do it for.
that was the goal, was to reduce the number of miles because they're not being hot seated. And it also reduces the maintenance.
Right.
And it gives the officers a little bit of ownership that they'll take care of the cars a little bit better.
Right.
So
Thank you.
I think we're really early into that to make that determination right now.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I
Yeah,
just want to make sure it's on the thought process.
Yes.
So that, I mean, that's ultimately what you want to get to.
Correct.
If we're going to end up 5-6 years from now where you got 30 vehicles out there running,
When we get to that point, I'm probably going to have somebody else handling that fleet management.
all right, thank you, Chief.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay, so that was where I was leading my next question, because we were talking about personnel. So equipment needs, when we're talking about the fleet, why don't we have a fleet account management? Since all of the vehicles that we have are General Motors, I know because I worked there for 5 years in the fleet department. And what we did was we worked with cities and provided fleet account management. And I know for a fact that if you purchase new, so at some point, it doesn't make sense to run them till the wheels fall off. At some point, the maintenance, the wear and tear doesn't really affect keeping it in-house. Now, if they're sitting there and they're dead, then that's not doing us any good. However, I do know that they offer very, very amazing government programs that help with five-year maintenance included in the price if it's a government fleet account or a city fleet account. And I know for a fact that the Chevy, any GM Elite dealership, you can drive any of the vehicles there and they will service them, maintenance them, and you get a 100,000 mile warranty. Have we seen?
Not in police vehicles.
If you're part of a fleet account management program.
Please, PPVs do not fall under the same warranty program. I can throw another caveat at you too.
Okay.
Not, didn't mean that sarcastically.
No, it's totally
But
fine.
to try to find a Chevy Tahoe PPV is virtually impossible right now.
Okay, yes,
So we are-
the
we are-
manufacturing of them has
Correct.
been,
We are looking at different options.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we're fixing to roll out a new Ford Explorer that we just purchased. So we're having to look at different options as
Okay.
far as our fleet goes. So as far as fleet management or anything like that, when we get the Public Works building built, I think the goal and the plan is, and Robbie can answer this for me, is they're going to start taking over some of the minor maintenance of the fleet vehicles. Not just police, but all the vehicles in the city.
okay.
So that would be an option that we can look at, because where I came from, we had our service manager there actually ran the fleet maintenance. And they would call us, say, time to get your oil changed. So, and that was picked up every time we fueled up, because we had to punch in our number and our unit number and mileage. So that is an option that we can look at on that side of it. But right now, trying to find a car that is designed for the police is very hard, because the order banks come out, and it's bad how they do this, because your order banks come out in May, and you have to get your name on the list for the amount of cars you want in May. Well, we haven't budgeted for any cars. So, we can put our name on a list for 4 cars, but we don't know if we're going to get 4 cars. So trying to find, it's not like what it used to be where you can just go down to a lot and buy you a PPV. They're hard to find.
Yeah,
So that's, and Captain McLean can attest to that, because he's been trying to find cars for me for quite a while now, and
So,
they're
excuse
just
me.
difficult.
okay, Chief, so sorry, just wanted to ask,
Mm-hmm.
so what we're saying that this budget number of 45,000 per PPV is potentially going to be a new type of vehicle, because you can't get any current vehicles that you have stocked now?
Correct.
So we're looking at Fords, the smaller ones?
We're looking at whatever we can get. Because if we can get one, then we have to jump on it. If it's a
Yeah.
Tahoe or if it's a Ford. We've never had a Explorer in our fleet, but Explorers are more readily available than what the Tahoe is.
How many vehicles do we have in the fleet right now?
Captain, you help me out with that?
We have approximately around 30.
30, and of those, how many are being driven every day,
On a daily basis?
on a daily basis?
You're looking at, on a good day, we'd have 6 officers on shift.
6, so 6
On a
vehicles.
good day. Now, if they're in training or they're on personal leave or something like that, our schedule is for 6 officers per shift per day. So you're looking at 6 officers for day shift, 6 officers for night shift.
Okay, so in a 24-hour span, we have a total of 12 vehicles being driven.
Correct.
Okay, and so what are the other vehicles? That's like
They're resting.
18. I'm sorry?
That's the.
They're resting.
Yeah,
So they're cycling
resting.
on and off.
Yes. That's part of the vehicle take home. That's how we keep the mileage down.
Yeah.
Is because I guess they're like police officers. They got to rest too.
Yeah.
If we hot seat them, we wouldn't be able to keep a car here for
No,
2
I
years.
get it.
Yeah.
So what I'm interested in, I know we can't cover this today, but there's ways to do the numbers to see how long the life of the vehicle gives you, and at what point it's no longer good to keep it in stock, and to actually go to something new. Because some of those, once they get to a certain point, once, they're not a fuel efficient and they have all the things breaking down, then they become money guzzlers.
Liability.
Yes, exactly. So I'm interested to see the life, maybe a spreadsheet. I know you don't have a fleet manager, but I don't know how, McLean, okay? I want to see a spreadsheet if we can. I mean, you can email it to me or council, just something to go off of and see the life of the ones that we have now. Because
We can-
Ford, to me, if
we
we
can do
have
that.
34 units at the size of our, patrol, the size of the personnel and what we have, I want to make sure that that's appropriate. What if you need more? What if the ones that we have that are sitting there, what if the cost that we're spending to maintain and drive these vehicles actually outweighs a new one? I just want to do a comparison.
Sure. And that's something we can get for you, because I know we can get the mileage. We can actually pull up, we can go through our financing to see how much money we're spending on the vehicles.
I'd like to see
So-
that. I would. And again, it's not to say, well, we're going to tell you to budget for 6. I just want to know.
Sure.
I just want to see the detail of at what point does it make sense to buy 4 new vehicles, or what do we have already? And just look at the numbers.
We can make that happen.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm good.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And Chief, appreciate your presentation about the police department. What I love that you put in there is a rolling 5-year projection as to what the needs are going to be, so that way we know what to shoot for and target. When this spreadsheet is put together, one of the questions that I had was in regards to the maintenance on those 4 old vehicles. So understanding what our maintenance costs and how those increase comparative to the age of the vehicles. Because you see some police departments that have 15, 20-year-old vehicles that are out there. But understanding what is the cost differential between paying the money, having a new vehicle with low maintenance compared to having an older one with increasing costs.
And there's another catch to it as well. It depends on how the vehicles are being operated.
Yes, sir.
I can tell you now, back, 3 years ago, we donated some units to Surfside PD after all their units flooded out during the tropical storm. We had some that were spare units that we already replaced, but they were sitting there full of equipment. So we donated them to Surfside. Those cars are still rolling. They're still out there. The reason is because Surfside's half a mile wide, 3 miles long. They're just going up and down the beach at 5 miles an hour. So it depends on how the units are being driven as well. So, when you're having to cover the territory we cover, it puts a lot of miles on them, and actually puts a lot of hard miles on them. So we can come up with all that information, and we can start looking at trying to keep a running record of the maintenance and the cost of each vehicle.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I think Captain McLean was already working on that. He already had a spreadsheet running at one time, so.
And Manager Dan, I think that's something that it goes into what Councilman Bonner was talking about. It's that vehicle replacement program. It's what is our policy for that? How often do we need to replace these? What are the criteria that we look at? So that way we can take those facts, understanding, okay, each vehicle is placed within this formula, and this formula tells us based off of the different things that have happened with the vehicle, how it's driven, et cetera, how many miles it has, when we need to replace it. Final question that I have is this dispatch supervisor that you're reclassifying. They're getting a raise, but it's not a $60,000 raise, correct?
I think 60,000, no, it's not 60,
Okay.
that is the salary range.
That's the salary, okay. Because
Yeah,
when I was looking at these additional
I'm
equipment.
sorry, that is just,
I was going to apply for that.
no, I'm sorry, that is the range of the salary.
Okay, perfect.
It's not, that was just, here's what we would be paying. the
Okay,
salary.
perfect. Because when I was looking at what Councilman Lands brought up, the total additional needs, equipment needs, that total cost, got to reduce that down a little bit for that.
Yeah, that, take the 60,000 out, it won't be that much of an increase.
Okay, perfect. Well, Chief, let's continue on here. Council, if you have any other comments regarding the police department, we can circle back to those, but I want to make sure we cover the other departments, so go ahead.
Okay. All right, with the Fire Marshal Division, I have our Fire Marshal here with us tonight. When we finish this, if y'all have any questions, she can answer those for you. The Fire Marshal Division is made up of the Fire Marshal, Assistant Fire Marshal, and the third position of the Fire Inspector Investigator. Some of the accomplishments through the Fire Marshal's office, I really want to preface this before we get started because we basically started the Fire Marshal's office over again in December, January timeframe. When we promoted our Fire Marshal, she came up with a lot of great ideas, a lot of things happened in the past 6 months. So there's a lot of positives going through. We don't have really a true data field like what the police department has, but it is we are starting to collect all that data. Some of the accomplishments is on this slide is things that they've done is create and implemented a policy for operational fire permits and inspections, contributed updates of design criteria manual, revised the burn permit application, and created a burn application flow chart that gives information, and completed over 220 hours of FEMA and law enforcement training. The goals, she has set several goals for this division. I will let y'all read through those for the sake of time. The activity measures for 24 is when we were talking about the numbers, the Fire Marshal Division actually started keeping the numbers in this budget year. The other numbers were too vague, and we really couldn't come up with the information that we were needing. So the activity measure for this division is going to grow. We're going to add and increase more measures in there to give y'all an idea of what this division's doing. So this is what they've done for this year. They've, for the past 6 months, 7 months, for the inspections, permits, and their plan reviews with a budgeted amount for the next fiscal year. The equipment, I don't have any cost figures on this, and I'll explain the reason why, as we've already budgeted the amounts in the line item budget through their minor tools and equipments. The equipment they're looking at to purchase are something that they need for their job, for their fire extinguishers, fire boots, first aid kits, evidence collection, fingerprints, arson, sample kits, portable lights, measuring wheels, fire-resistant coveralls, large monitor for plan reviews, new locking hardware for their fire evidence cabinet, because when they do fire investigations, they have to store evidence in a cabinet that doesn't burn or explode. A new digital camera, and a smoke detector tester. These are all things that they've requested that is part of what they do in their job description. So we've already implemented that in their line item account in their budget. The budget for the Fire Marshal Division has changed based off the number of employees and equipment and necessary training needed. What we found after reviewing the line items is the budget in the previous years was not giving them the money or the equipment they were needing. So based off these needs, it was based off of one individual and basically not three. So we increased a lot of our line items to implement some of their equipment needs. They're working diligently to increase the safety and awareness and restore the confidence of the community and businesses we serve.
So Chief, a quick question that I have for you about that. Are we fully staffed with an investigator position, or would that be a new position to form?
No, we are not fully staffed. We have one position that we're trying to fill, and that's the investigator inspector.
Okay, so that's currently a line item salaried position.
It's a budgeted position,
Okay.
yes.
Thanks, Chief. Council, any comments or questions for the Chief regarding Fire Marshal's office? Okay, all right. Good, Chief. Thank you.
Code Enforcement Division, this year we have hired 2 code enforcement officers. They actually do the code enforcement and our health inspections. This year we actually promoted Daniel Franklin to our lead code enforcement officer. The accomplishments that they have brought to the table this year: they filled the open position with experienced candidate, created code supervision to fill position with current employees, allocated experience from current code enforcement personnel to assist with floodplain reviews, brought into compliance all existing food establishments, brought into compliance several substandard structures that were abated or abatement bound without further court proceedings. Here are their goals that they are looking for next year. One of the goals is the updating the Texas food establishment rules, and there's a agenda item that I'll be giving y'all an update on where we're at with that. They've already been working on that. I'm sorry, I want to back up one. One of the goals that we're looking at is increasing staffing by 1 code enforcement personnel. That will give them 3 personnel within that division. The activity measures, we were able to go back to 2022 and to find the numbers for their activity measures, which were calls of service, self-initiated calls, health inspections, similar to what the other activity measures are. And if you look at these, you can see that as we go into the 2025 budget year, all of these measures are going to be increasing, which is expected. The budget request that they visited with me about is a uniform budget and supplies. They need some more supplies. If the new position is approved, this is for the new position. We're going to have to get a code enforcement truck, which comes with the graphics and the equipment that they're going to need. The personnel we're looking at for the officers, okay, and again, this is their salary line item. It's not an increase. That's what we're going to be paying. The salary up to, that's the maximum point. And equipment of $1,500. To conclude with this, the budget for code enforcement is small comparatively to other budgets. What we cannot do is believe their job is less important than any others in the workforce. We need to focus on the future growth and develop this division. In this budget cycle, we're asking for additional employee and equipment for this employee to be able to complete their daily task. And we've made small increases to the overall budget line items. The reason why we did that is to be able to support the job that they do. What we found out is as things increase, we also have to increase their line items as well to help them out.
All right, thank you, Chief. Council, any comments or questions for code enforcement?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm sorry, I lost a page. I thought I saw in here a request for new vehicles as well.
That's for
Is
the.
that part of
No,
the
that's for the new
request?
employee.
Okay, but is that included in the 4 that we're asking for?
No, that was the police.
This is in addition.
This is a different division.
Okay.
And for that, Chief, I mean, what would be the feasibility of taking one of the retired 4 police vehicles and converting that over to be used for code enforcement?
The only thing I would do with one of those cars is take it to an auction. When their service life is up, I would not drive them. I wouldn't put anybody behind them. We have a Dodge out there right now that we need to take to auction that is
It's a Dodge.
it's bad. So we do have some of those out there, but I wouldn't recommend it. If we're going to do it, we need to equip them properly. Now, code enforcement vehicles will last a long time because they don't put the wear and tear as they do on a patrol car.
Do they need a truck, a pickup truck, to do
Yes.
code checks?
Yes.
Why so?
Because they carry equipment in the back of them.
Okay, and do we need full-size trucks?
No.
Or can we
No.
get away with like mini Colorados or?
Yes, yeah. All they need is something to carry equipment in, and for when they pick up signs and stuff like that.
Could it be a Tesla Cybertruck? Is that what you're
What?
thinking? One of those Tesla Cybertrucks?
Okay.
Please, no.
I'm just saying.
Mayor, we're getting a little crazy.
One other question that or more so just a comment I want to make, and this is for the fire marshal's office as well. I've heard nothing but good things over the past couple months from both code enforcement and the fire marshal's office, from new businesses that are coming in, getting their inspections. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, of course, enforcing the law, but educating people throughout that process as well. And for code enforcement, while you might come in and say that you have to change this, change that, you're doing it with a smile on your face, and that goes a long ways. And so we really appreciate that. So keep up the good work.
I can echo those sentiments. Since we have made these changes, we have not received one complaint on our fire marshal's office or our code enforcement officers as compared to what we were last year.
It's great to hear. Thanks, Chief. All right, I think you can continue on.
Okay, animal control. This is a unique situation because we just created this division. So it's one of those things that we are, as far as the data and all that stuff, we're still collecting data. There was never really a budget that was given to animal control when we developed this. All the money for the animal control expenses were coming out of the police budget last year. So just to start off with, the duties of the animal control officer is to enforce state law and ordinances of the city of Manvel as it pertains to animal control, nuisance investigations, and animal cruelty. The animal control officer works with local shelters and rescue groups with placement of animals that have been abandoned or have been picked up or running loose. Animal control officer handles calls for service when it pertains to domesticated animals. I'm going to repeat, domesticated animals, and gives advice on how to handle nuisance wildlife. These are the activity measures for 2024. Again, we can't go back any further than that because we didn't have an animal control. Animal control was handled by the police. And we can throw that number out there, but it wouldn't give a realistic value of what our animal control officer is doing. So we came up with this chart starting in 2024, and again, as we go through the years, these activity measures will increase by the fiscal year. So we have calls for service, follow-up calls, animal impounds, animals returned to owner, animals released to partners, which are our HHS and Lone Star Paws, animal adoptions, and livestock calls. You can see that our actual calls and the estimated numbers that we're going to be looking at for the remainder of the year in the 25 budget. I want to add this. When we look at the actual numbers that we are at, that was from October to May 31st. That's where we ran our numbers to. And then we estimated for the next 4 months based off of the numbers and the trend that we were seeing. Oh, a big one that is the very last one, animals euthanized. 0. I just wanted to point that out. Accomplishments for the Animal Control's office is we opened up the PD kennels 100% for the first time in several years. Actually, right now, they're actually closed because we're full. We filled the existing animal control officer with a 20-year veteran. We purchased and outfitted an animal control vehicle. We signed an MOU with Houston Humane Society and Lone Star Paws as our partners. And we updated some of the paperwork and the policy and procedures with our Animal Control Division. Along with the equipment needs, we're asking for another animal control officer position because of the rise of the animal control calls and having to transport animals to shelters, it's taking a toll on one individual. With a second person, it will allow for better response and more proactive measures to enforce current state laws and city ordinances. The equipment that we're looking for to purchase this year are some of the equipment that we are needing, which is just your standard equipment. One of the big things that me and our ACO talked about this morning, that one of the things we're finding is a lot of these rescues will not take animals if they haven't had certain vaccinations. Our ACO is trained and certified in these vaccinations, so we're going to look at purchasing, I think they call them the all-in-one or 7-in-1 shots, 5-in-1 shots, and test them for heartworms and such as that. We're going to go ahead and purchase all that equipment so we can start prepping these animals to go to some of these rescuers. That's where you come up with a parvo, distemper, kennel cough, dewormer, syringes, and all of that. One of the things that we've been utilizing is a dart gun. We've already had to utilize that probably 3 times this year on aggressive animals that we cannot catch. We're looking to purchase one of those so he doesn't have to keep using his. Respirator and gas mask, that's for picking up skunks off the side of the road.
$20.
Along with the addition of the new animal control officer, we have to buy a truck and we have to outfit that truck with everything it needs. One of the things that we put on the current truck was a lift gate, which saves their backs big time trying to load animals into these trucks. To conclude with this, the Animal Control Division was created last October for the 24 budget year. There was never a budget attached with animal control. The funds which helped start the division was placed on the police budget, and that's where the funds have been taken from. It was intentional that way. We planned on that because we didn't know what the budget would look like because we haven't created one. So that was our base, I guess you would say, to creating the budget. In the 25 budget year, we have created an animal control budget with an individual line item account. Since we've created this division, we have seen an explosion in calls and foresee these calls to increase as the city grows. We're requesting additional support and equipment for our animal control officer to assist in responding to calls for service and providing for the health and safety of all animals in the city of Manvel. And that's it.
Thank you, Chief. And Council, we do have an animal control related item on the agenda, so we'll keep some of the questions for that. Chief, you mentioned something that our kennels are currently at 100% capacity. Is that correct?
They are full.
And is that because some of our partners are not taking animals when we pick them up?
That's correct.
Okay. And Officer Sherman, are you still having to turn away our ability to take animals because we don't have the capacity, nor are our partners picking up those animals?
Yes, sir. I'm not able to pick up any animals. I'll give you some numbers. From the 15th of last month to today, I was unable to take 27 animals.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
Now, I see here that one of the equipment needs is some additional capacity that would allow us to pick up some more animals. Is that correct? Is that what this feral cat and small mammal den / carrier, is that what that would be, or is that equipment for in the truck?
That's portable carriers for in the truck.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything in here that would potentially increase our capacity to hold animals on site for the time being? I know we'll have some additional space at the new police station.
We've had, Chief will have to answer that, but we've had one dog there since May 24th,
Okay.
so over 40 days.
And why do you think that animal is not being picked up?
I don't really have the answer for that. Room, space, I mean, and as
I'll answer it.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's not an adoptable dog. People don't look at this dog as an adoptable dog. It's a little black dog. We had a rescue group come out, look at both of them. One was a husky, one was this one. They took the husky, left this one. That's not what we were told. We were told we would take every animal. It's not going to cost y'all a dime. We'll take every animal. We got a kennel full of animals. One's been in there for over 40 days because they won't take it. Neither HHS will take it or our partners. That's a problem.
Well, that breaks my heart, Chief. And I know you're working hard to keep that euthanization rate at 0. and keeping that dog. And Officer Sherman, the efforts that you go through, and I know it probably breaks your heart having to say no to being able to pick up animals. And so I think you guys have put together a good budget here, and we'll talk some more about this, but I appreciate your efforts. They don't go unnoticed. Mayor Pro Tem?
I just wanted to reiterate that when we had this discussion weeks ago, that we were accused of trying to partner with kill shelters. And it was stated, and I brought to the attention of everyone here, that rescue groups are phenomenal. However, they get to claim that there are no kill shelters because they pick and choose what dogs they take. And at the end of the day, we can make it an agenda, we can stir the pot how we want to change things, but the reality is that if people are complaining, then we would love for them to step up and take the dog that's been there for 40 days home. They say they have the capacity to do it. They say they love to do it. Why are we not calling those individuals that came here to fight for the life of the dogs that nobody wanted?
We have.
And none of the people that showed up here, the line of people, they've all said no.
They are full.
They are full.
We have reached out to other rescue groups that are not in our agreement, and they will not take the animals.
Okay.
They're full.
Because these dogs are unadoptable.
That's my opinion.
It basically,
They say they're full. My
They say
opinion
they're
is
full.
you have a dog there that they're going to be straddled with, just like we are. I mean, it's a great little puppy. You know, if I didn't have 4 of my own, I'd take the dog, but I've already got enough. I know we're getting off topic a little bit, but we picked up an animal that needed to go to the vet. It cost us $700 to get this animal treated. One of our dispatchers fostered the dog, had to take it back to the vet, which cost us another $700. So we're $1,400 in this little puppy that we can't do anything with.
so in other circumstances, so let's just say so the Humane Society would not take this dog. Neither would Little Paws. They would not take the dog either. So in this instance that this dog is unadoptable, no one will step up to take it. What happens when that turns into 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 dogs? Because everyone else around us is full. What's our plan for that?
One of the biggest things, what me and Officer Sherman talked about this morning, it was the fact that in order for these dogs to be rescued, one of the big things is the rescue groups are looking if they've been vaccinated or they've received this vaccinations, this 5-in-1 or 7-in-1, along with the heartworm testing.
I thought the rescue groups provided that.
We were told that they did that.
Interesting.
But some of these groups that we have contacted, and John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, some of the groups we contacted outside of that service are looking to have those done. That's why we're looking at purchasing the medication. The medication is not expensive. It's very cheap medicine. But
Yeah, I saw that on the budget.
if we can purchase those vaccinations, he's trained and certified to do it, and we can vaccinate the animals, that'll give us that one step closer to being able to adopt the dogs out or getting them to a rescuer because they have those vaccinations.
So
So-
just to be clear, when the rescue groups came and begged us to partner with them because they said that they were willing and able, had the funds, had the space, they didn't tell us that the dogs that they would rescue had to be vaccinated? Was that something that we missed or that they failed to tell us or just a lack of communication?
We were told that they do the intake. I actually went over to one of them. Houston Humane Society does it. They have their own vets on staff.
So they'll take any dog with or without vaccination?
If they have space.
If they have space, okay. Houston Humane Society. Our other partner,
When I went and visited with them, we had a great conversation with them, and they showed me their setup that they were building at the time. And they have the space to do that. The problem is it costs some money.
it costs them money,
It costs
and
them
obviously
money.
they're a nonprofit, so they have to
Correct.
raise those funds in order
Correct.
to provide the service.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not that they don't want to, it's that they are also limited. They're smaller. They're not as big and robust as the Humane Society and other organizations that have
So
huge funding.
that's why we were trying to eliminate that issue by doing the medications ourselves.
Okay.
And another issue is, as far as vaccines and whatnot, it's also the heartworm testing, because a lot of these rescues that I've contacted, they want to know if the dog's heartworm positive or not, because that's a huge cost on top of a rescue.
Exactly.
So by getting them vaccinated and heartworm tested, then that helps quite a bit as far as going towards trying to get them out to some of these other rescues. One thing I did want to mention real fast is we're going to end up having another issue keeping dogs in the kennels for 40, 50 days, 60 days, and that's something called kennel craze. I'm already seeing changes in
The pit bull we saw.
personality and what of some of these dogs I've brought in. So that's going to be another thing to deal with really
Yeah, it's
soon.
not healthy for a dog to live in a kennel.
Correct.
So what do normal facilities do when they have a dog stuck in a kennel for going on 2 months already? And how much, so now the concern becomes the welfare of this dog that we're keeping. It's in the kennel. Does it have proper attention, exercise? Like, do we have the manpower to do that? So we don't. It's costing us money. We have 2 partners. I think the solution is we need to start expanding our partnership with other organizations.
We're looking at that.
Okay.
We've already reached out to other rescue groups that we're talking with now.
Okay.
We have to reach out to other people. We have to reach out to other
We
partners.
have to. We have to.
We've understood it, and we believe that when we contacted the one partner, and I still believe this, and I'm not bashing anybody, I don't want anybody to think I'm bad-mouthing anybody, that they would have the ability to reach out to other groups. They said they had a huge connection of rescuers that could do this. But it just seems like we can't find that connection.
I just want to state something. Just because somebody has a nonprofit organization and has a heart and a love for something doesn't always mean they have the means to do it. And this is something that was brought to everyone's attention the last time we had this item on the agenda, because there's a lot of huge organizations that have access to grants, that have access, they have the means to do what we need them to do. Small organizations, we love them, and they're able to provide what the big ones can't. But they are limited by the resources and their ability to fundraise and to budget. And it costs a lot of money to pay the bills for facilities, just like we're seeing it's costing for us.
The biggest thing is, or one of the biggest things, and they're facing the reality that everybody else faces in all the shelters around, is capacity. There are so many animals out there that are being abandoned, picked up, dumped. That's some of the language that we've added to our animal control ordinance to tighten it up, that we're going to talk about later on. But everybody's full. There's no place for these animals to go.
Are we verifying that they're full, or is that their excuse to turn away our dogs?
It's hard to verify shelters because the way they work is we make a phone call and then they reach out to several.
And sometimes when they say they're full is because they don't have the means to feed them and provide for them as well. Okay, well, this is definitely a tough one for us, but we have to find a solution, and our citizens that are fighting for our animals just as much as we are, they need to step up. Thank
So,
you.
Chief, we'll turn it over to Councilman Bonner, then we'll wrap up this workshop. Just one feedback that I have is one of the things to look at. I want to make sure that we invest in some of the equipment and especially the medicine. The concern that I would have with hiring on another animal control officer at this time is if Officer Sherman's having to ride around and basically just tell people no, would adding another body just to tell people no be the best practical use of the funds? Whereas once we get that space, then hire that person. I see Officer Sherman raise his hand there, so we'll see if he can speak to that. What's this kind of going
I
through my head?
just want to state that the other person, it's not just riding around telling people no, it's also enforcement of the ordinances. I can tell you there's a whole backlog of stuff that if I had another person, I'd be able to stay on top of a lot better. So it's more than just the picking up the dogs. It's the, my neighbor's dog did this person got bit,
Proactive enforcement.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate that clarity.
And if we move further with this ordinance, we're going to have more proactive enforcement.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bonner?
Yeah, I just got one question. I noticed you've got on here this, and this is probably simple, and I'm just stupid. You need a controlled, DEA-rated safe for non-controlled medications. Are we planning on having
No,
controlled medications, or that's just the better safe to buy, or?
let me go back and look at it.
It may be that the regular safe is the same amount of money, and that's,
Yeah, right now, we're not going to have any DEA rated
We
medicine.
legally can't have it without having a,
We can, but we have to go through a veterinarian, and the
Right.
veterinarians are being real strict on how they do that. Some of the, we were actually trying to capture what's the name of that dog? A big white one? No. The Great Pyrenees has been running around, and we contacted several veterinarians to try to get the medication to use in the dart gun. And we finally reached out to our vet that's on our advisory board, and she just gave us one dose. We get one dose at a time. So it's not like what it used to be where you can have just the vials and you kept them locked up, so.
all right.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Pro Tem?
Is it possible that in the meantime, while we get the budget approved and move on, that we can maybe get a police officer that's patrolling to be certified and actually assist with this, without all of it falling on Officer Sherman?
Our animal control, our code enforcement officer, he's certified in animal control.
Okay.
He helps him a lot.
So right now, we have our code enforcement officer,
Daniel's certified in
Daniel, is
animal
helping
control, yes.
Officer Sherman for the time being,
Whenever he needs help.
whenever he needs help. How often is that?
Not very often.
Not very often.
No.
Okay, so the justification for another animal control
Proactive enforcement.
proactive enforcement,
Right now, we're strictly reactive.
reactive. Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Well, I think this shows, Chief, that for animal control specifically, despite what some people might say online, we take this matter very seriously. You guys and all of us care deeply about our Manvel animals, and we are willing to make the investment. And the key to this is partnership and collaboration, and that's what we're focused on. So, Chief, I appreciate this overall update. Council will be able to have these slides, so please reach out to Manager Dan and the Chief, and if you guys have any additional questions, and we'll continue working forward with the budget. So, thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So we do have the executive session that's on the workshop. Bobby, a question for you. I believe what might be the best plan of action is, because we're right up on 6, open up the executive session, head into the regular meeting, take care of some of those items at the beginning of the regular meeting, and then have that be our first item to take care of during the regular meeting. Is that something that we can do, or what would be the best way to handle that?
Probably just recess your workshop now, which is the executive session, open up the regular meeting, recess the regular meeting, and come back to the workshop when you're ready.
Okay, we can do that. And then does recessing, would that be a motion to recess, or, okay. Okay, so council, what I'd like to do is I'd like to make a motion to recess our workshop at 6:02 PM. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Bonner. All in favor of the recess? Motion passes unanimously, 7:02. We will come back to that, council. This will, once we get to our first item on the regular agenda, we'll then. I did say 7:02, 6:02. Thank you, Councilman. But what we'll do is we will then step back into the workshop to go into the executive session as our first regular agenda item, because we do have some consultants here tonight and we want to see them on their ways. So, council, do you need a moment to get a drink, or do you guys want to step right into the regular meeting? All right, we'll step right into it because we will have the executive session that we can step out for. So I would like to call to order this regular city council meeting for the city of Manvel here at 6:03, not 7:03, 6:03. And we have 7 of 7 members present. For our invocation tonight, we have Lowell Pinnock. Is that how you say the last name? Did I say that correctly? You almost got it. I almost got it. I was close. And so Mr. Lowell here, you'll see him many times on Talk of Manvel and Facebook, sharing encouraging words and praying for us. And so I feel like this is out of order here. I think I need to get the gavel and kind of gavel you guys. But sir, floor is yours if you can lead us in the invocation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and council members and others. If you guys would bow your heads. And precious God, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude and hope for the city of Manvel. We ask for your divine protection and provisions over its constituents, residents, leaders, and all who serve within its borders. Bless the community with peace, prosperity, and unwavering unity. May your wisdom guide the decisions of those leaders in leadership, and may they act with integrity, selflessness, and compassion. Father God, we pray for the safety and well-being of all families and individuals in the city of Manvel. Continue providing for their needs, comfort those who are hurting, including our four-legged friends. and heal those who are sick. Let your presence be felt on every corner of this precious city, bringing hope and encouragement to all. Your word says in Jeremiah 29:7, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare you will find your welfare. We seek the welfare of the city of Manvel right now in the name of Jesus. Manvel, we ask God and for all of the blessings that he has abundantly, and we ask that he would help this city flourish astronomically. We also lift up our first responders, military residents, local and big businesses, schools, churches, and every organization within Manvel's jurisdiction. May they thrive and be sources of strength and support for the community. Help the city to grow in ways that honor you, God, and benefit to all who live here. The Lord bless and keep the city of Manvel. The Lord make his face shine upon the city of Manvel and be gracious to the city of Manvel. The Lord turn his face towards this great city and give every constituent, resident, leader, and all who serve within its borders peace. In Jesus' holy and righteous and divine name we pray. Amen, amen, and amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here tonight. Mr. Lowell, are you a pastor at a church specifically, or you just love God and love to pray?
Love God and love to pray.
There we go. I like it. All right, we now have the inspirational reading from Councilman Opliger.
Thank you. I've got lots of inspiration tonight. And I first want to start off, well, I'm going to talk about a little bit of, it's more of a quote. It's from Jacob Riis. He was a photographer in the early 1900s in New York, and he was actually one of the early adopters of the photographic flash, to where he was able to drive change and for the better. And so, but I want to start off with our mission statement, because this all kind of ties in together. Whereas the city of Manvel is a safe and responsible community, embracing the values of our past, present, and future citizens. And I say that because a couple of months ago I was at the one of the Chamber of Commerce Coffee and Connections, and I saw a couple of our business advisory task force members there. I thought, wow, that's really cool. You know, they're out there getting the job done, doing it, right? You know, and then, you know, you look at the Croy Park Task Force, you know, and there's really things getting done, while government is painfully slow at times. You know, it takes members of our community to do these things and get it done. But anyway, so it's so Jacob Riis, right? He has this little saying, and he says, "When nothing seems to help, I go back and look at the stonecutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times without even as much as a crack showing in it. Yet, at the 101st blow, it will split in two. And I know it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before." And because this is 4th of July week, right, coming up, I want to ask everybody, if you're going to be out there doing that, do it safely, and even when nobody's looking. There you go.
Thank you, Councilman. If you guys will please stand with me and join me in saying the pledges. First, to the U.S. flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, everyone. So next we have a few public hearings. The first one here, Tammy, is canceled, so I won't read that one. Perfect. So we have two public hearings. What I'll do is I'll read very fast the public hearing, and then I will do 3 calls. If anybody wishes to speak, just come forward, state your name and address, and you can speak towards the matter of the public hearing. These items are listed on the agenda as well, so you can see the supporting documentation for it in case you wish to speak. So the first public hearing is to hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by amending the zoning classification of approximately 20.41 acre tract of land located at 17221 State Highway 6, Suite 103, Manvel, Texas, described as Reserve B of Manvel Town Center, Section 1, from Planned Unit Development and State Highway 6 Overlay District, PUD SH6, to Planned Unit Development and State Highway 6 Overlay District with Specific Use Permit, PUD SH6 SUP, providing for the granting of a specific use permit with conditions to authorize the use of property for 81211 3 nail salons to be located within the town center development, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing for a penalty in the amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof. I will now do the first call for anybody wishing to speak on the matter of this public hearing. Second call and third call. So we had nobody that spoke for the public hearing. That public hearing closes at 6:09 p.m. We now have the next public hearing. This is to hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by amending the zoning classification of approximate 1.5491 acre tract of land generally located east of 17518 Morris Avenue, State Highway 6, Manvel, Texas, from light commercial and State Highway 6 Overlay District LC SH6 to light commercial and State Highway 6 Overlay District with specific use permit PUD SH6 SUP, providing for the granting of a specific use permit with conditions to authorize the use of property for 621493 ambulatory health care services, providing for the amendments of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing a penalty in the amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation of any provision hereof. We will now do the first call for anybody wishing to speak on the subject of this public hearing. Second call and third call. So we have no one that spoke on the subject of this public hearing, so that public hearing will close at 6:10 p.m. I have one speaker participation form in front of me here. So I would like to, I think we might have some more, so we'll take these. Thank you, Tammy. So the first one that we have is Jared Jennings. Mr. Jennings, if you could come forward to state your name and address for the record. Brooke is not here, so from a timing standpoint, with 3 minutes, I'll start it on my phone. You'll hear it beep at the end. So thank you for being. Oh, wait.
Appreciate it.
Oh, look, she did it from afar, so I like to hear it. So it's on the screen there for you. So thank you, sir.
All right, my name is Jared Jennings. I live at 17 Superior Drive here in Manvel. I'm here to talk about the proposed animal ordinance. Let me start by saying I'm not an attorney and I do not represent anything as being legal advice. I do understand legal language through my experience in interpreting legal language for the past 15 years in a professional setting. And the following are my opinions through that lens. The draft ordinance is poorly drafted. For example, if animal deposits bodily waste, such as urine, anywhere, regardless if the owner promptly removes the bodily waste, such as feces, there is a violation. Bodily waste is not defined in the draft and thus carries a normal definition of bodily waste, which is urine and feces. Section 825 does not provide those terms as defense to this violation. The term unreasonably disturbed is undefined and lacks specificity. The term is subjective also. There are other issues. These are only examples. The draft ordinance also compels pet owners to take on the expense they may not otherwise be able to afford, such as annual registration fees. I believe this infringes on the rights of residents to own their pets free and clear of the government's greedy hands. Surely, if Manvel is interested in saving people $100 on their property taxes, they wouldn't want to further burden pet owners by making them pay for registration fees every year and also go through the expense of microchipping and the expense of anything else related to that. I lost my train of thought through here, sorry. The only exemptions to the registration of microchipping are under 3 months, which is contradictory to the earlier section. Brought to the city as exclusive for exhibition or licensed boarding facility, and if the possession of a licensed animal rescuer. No exclusion is offered for people fostering animals on behalf of animal rescues that may not operate in Manvel and thus may not have a permit or license or even be aware of the ordinance. The draft ordinance also puts those organizations at risk. The draft ordinance also seeks to implement a reporting requirement for persons who know of an animal that bites or scratches an individual. And I see I'm running down through time, so I'll just skip over that here. But perhaps the most egregious issue with the proposed ordinance is that it's seemingly blatantly violation of due process. Any violation of the chapter provides an authorization to confine, impound, or destroy an animal that violates the chapter without first notifying the owner if the officer believes in his discretion that such action is reasonable necessary to protect the safety and property of any person. It seems the city of Manvel is attempting to cobble together ordinances from around Manvel, including the city of Houston, as well as intentioned as I am sure that is. The execution, in my opinion, is poorly done. I urge the city council to table the ordinance, go back to the table with a third-party attorney for review. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Appreciate you being here. Next, we have George Ducomin. Mr. George, thank you for being here tonight. If you could just state your name and address for the record, and then, sir, you have 3 minutes as can be seen on the screens.
Name's George Ducomin. We live at 6602 Mississippi Road, Manvel, Texas. It's the first time I've ever done this, so I apologize if I not exactly in protocol or whatever. Anyhow, we've been having quite a bit of trouble with our neighbor across the street, and for a while now. It's been going on for months. We've had extremely bright lights, white lights shown at our house at night. Been to the police department on 4 different occasions. I have. And basically I've been told there's nothing they can do about it. And I even had one officer tell me, well, what do you want us to do about it? Well, I put a stop to it somehow, some way. There's got to be something done. This man's tormenting my daughter, my grandsons. He's allowed his dog to chase after my grandson. My grandson's crying, running into the house. He's got a noose hanging from a tree out there now, and I've been told that that the police department has said, well, that's freedom of speech. I don't see how that's freedom of speech, having a noose hanging off a doggone tree. And people, that's just not right. He's pulled guns on the neighbor's girls next door there. He's pulled gun on well, Miss Eunice, she's passed away now, but pulled a gun on Charlie's wife. He's pulled a gun on his son-in-law, and I mean, I don't. This just getting out of hand here, and I don't know why there's not something that can be done about this. I mean, it kind of came to a head last Sunday night, and 4 police cars showed up. I mean, he was out in the street. Not only did he have a bunch of white lights shining on the house once again, he's out in the middle of the street with a handheld white spotlight along with his dog. That just, I don't know. It's just not right. I don't know what can be done about this, but it's just not right. But I mean, my own son, who's a half a world away, serving our country in the Navy, was ready to come home, take leave and come home to help us with this problem, and that's not something he should have to worry about. He's got more things to worry about than this. Anyway, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, George. Thank you for your comments. I was made aware of the situation over this weekend, George, and Dan and Chief, if we can make sure to get with this family and let them know about some of the things that have transpired as well, that'd be great. Next, we have, I believe, your daughter, Mr. George, Miss Catherine, here tonight. So, Catherine, if you can come forward, state your name and address for the record, please, and then we have 3 minutes on the screen for you.
My name is Catherine Ducomin, and we live at 6602 Mississippi. I'm here today to talk about our neighbor that we've had issues with. It's not only been months, it's been over a year and 2 months. Now that I look back at the emails that I used to send to Code Enforcement Officer Danielle Bryant, she said that she would get with her superiors, which was us at the time, our chief of police, about the issue with the lights. And come to find out, talking to Ms. Tammy, that we've had a light ordinance this entire time and nobody's done anything about it. The fact that we have been harassed so many times and had to ask for help so many times, and now it's gotten to the point where my children are black and there's a noose hanging across the street from them, and seeing that every single day. You know, we've tried to go through the correct routes with filing things, with talking to people, with trying to get this done professionally, and we have not been heard. And so now we are going to the news outlets. We are trying to figure out what we're going to do going forward with advocates, because it's been known, like, we've had issues this entire time, and nothing is being done with the police. Nothing is being done at all, and it's being brought to the attention of the chief. I've had to send emails last week to Miss Tammy. There's no reason that this should be occurring like this. It is 2024. I hope this never happens to any other children. I have my son asking me, what did he mean? Because he told my dad in the street that my dad called him a boy. And he said, I'm not your boy, but I have something for your little boy. And pointed in the tree to that noose, talking about the rope. Told your officers. Nothing. Why? Why are they being trained to not know the laws? The simple light ordinance that apparently has been brought on the church, that has been brought on Cameron Auto Salvage for them shining lights, because it's not just a regular light, it's a stadium light. And then specifically, it's a light from Cameron Auto Salvage, from his son-in-law, who brought it to him. It's a huge light. I wish I had a picture of it for you guys to see. I have my phone. If you guys want to ever, I will email it to you guys after this. But the fact that our house looks like Christmas every night, the light is shining through our windows, the officers tell us, we'll just get blackout curtains. Why do I have to get blackout curtains? Because a known racist is across the street from my children. I'm sorry for getting emotional, but I'm a mom just trying to do this for my kids. And we have not been heard, and nobody is helping. And this is why I'm going to try to run for city council next year, because enough is enough. We need change. Dan, you've done a great job trying to come in here and be transparent with us. Our other councilman, council lady, appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Catherine, for being here. We'll next go to Cindy Guire. Cindy, if you can please state your name and address for the record, and then we have 3 minutes on the screen there for you. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cindy Guire. I'm at 8925 Briarcrest here in Manvel. I have lived here for 30-some-odd years. I'm here to talk about the animal ordinance. I am a foster. I'm a pet owner. I am also the voice of the Manvel Friends of Manvel Animal Control Facebook page and Instagram. If you're not familiar with that, we are a 3-person organization working with the animal control officer promoting fostering. Fostering does work. This ordinance is not going to help us. It's going to hurt more than it's going to help. We understand what it's aimed at, but fostering is what's needed here in Manvel. We have 4 dogs right now in animal control that I know of that need to be fostered. We've had 3 months to get homes for them. We can't get fosters in 3 months. 57,000 dogs and cats, kittens, and puppies were put to death in last year in North Texas alone. Hundreds of dogs, cats, kittens, and puppies are put to death every week in the Texas Gulf Coast area. We don't want to add to that. Houston Humane Society is running at 700 dogs and cats, 350 over capacity. Bark puts down over 30 a day. We need to stop that. As a community, that's what we want to do. We want to promote fostering. We need your support to foster. We work as a partner with Animal Control and Lone Star Paws. But this ordinance, and the way it's written, will actually handicap us. We can't have 4 less, the way it's written, nobody can have more than 5 dogs, nobody can have more than 5 cats, more than 4 dogs without a license. Nobody's going to do that. I'm not going to get a license. I foster. I have dogs and cats. I live in the city of Manvel. If you got barn cats, nobody's going to buy a license or a permit to have barn cats. Think about this, and what we ask very simply is please table this, have an open discussion with the community, or at least with your foster partner, Lone Star Paws, and let's work out some of these issues that are hitting us now before it gets too late. Granted, we've got growing pains. Let's get over those growing pains. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. Next, we have, I believe this says Jake, or Julia, maybe? Julie Bradley? Oh, Julie. Okay, yes, Julie. Hey, Julie. I was looking. I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't have the best vision. No, you're good. You're good. I don't have the best vision, so my apologies about that.
It says it on my shirt. It's all right.
There it is. Well, thank you for being here tonight. The floor is yours.
All right, my name is Julie Bradley. I've lived in Manvel, I don't know, a good 20 years, whatever it is now. I came here talking about the animals like I did a few months ago. I've briefly gone through and summarized a lot of the 23 pages of this ordinance. First of all, there's a lot of things in there that make me go, makes me question it, what the heck is being said. And again, I'm average person of Manvel who wants to do the right thing. But this ordinance, honestly, it sounds like you're actually hurting the rescue groups, not trying to go after the people that are doing the wrong thing. Because you're limiting what rescue groups can do and rescuers. I mean, does this mean if I'm going by and I find a mama on the road as an individual, and I find a mama on the road has 5 puppies, I can't take all those 5 puppies and the mama in my house because you guys have limitations? That's a concern. Because this, again, if you go through the paperwork and read all that stuff, it does not make sense to me. In other words, it's limiting me to do the right thing. I'm not a member of Lone Star Paws, but I got to tell you, they've been doing an amazing job trying to help out the city. And I'm going to tell you the truth, what I feel from an outsider, helping them out and time to time to hold an animal, but that's it. From an outsider, a non-member of their group, I honestly have to tell you, it sounds like the city takes advantage of them. They do the work. They do all the work. I know we have one animal control officer, okay? But they're the ones getting the animals. They're the ones half the time getting the animals from the places. They're educating our people in the area. You guys honestly need to give them more respect. And actually, why don't we have a forum like originally we had said? Actually, Mayor, you actually brought it up to have a forum, the first meeting I came to about animals and taking care of them, doing the right thing. You said, let's have a forum, bring the community in. Let's have the city council sit down together as, you know, a big family would do. Let's talk about the rules and regulations because that's what's supposed to happen, communication. And also so we understand what the permits are telling us to do and that sort of thing. But we haven't done that yet, okay? So honestly, just from my perspective, and maybe it'll make some people frustrated and upset with me, but I think the system needs to change, and I think you guys need to honestly listen to some of the rescuers and the people out there, not just one group, the whole family, the whole community, because right now, if you go through and you push this ordinance through, there's a lot of flaws in it, and you're doing the wrong thing for the community as someone who lives here and tries to do the right thing every day. So very simply, let's put it on the table. Let's bring it back after we've had a moment to talk about it. And let's do the right thing for everybody involved, okay? So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here tonight. Next, we have Cynthia Cortinas that has signed up to speak. Thank you for being here tonight. Love the Astros gear. And I think you know this routine by now, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Cynthia Cortinas, 7204 Carpenter Road in Manvel. And I'm here tonight to oppose the ordinance. You know, I was asked back in January to start helping with animal control. Met with ACO Sherman at the PD and proceeded to start doing that, which I had been saying I wanted to do for the last year and a half. And so since January, I know the Lone Star Paws agreement didn't come in until April 1st, but since January, we have been able to take into the rescue 57 animals. That's 13 dogs and 44 cats. I've been able to get up 30 fosters to help with holding the animals until we can get them through to adoption. I don't have a current number on adoptions, but the adoptions are very high. I think we probably have, out of the 57, we probably have at least 39 to 42 animals that have already been adopted through the rescue. I am really opposed to this ordinance because, number one, it lists, you know, how many animals you can have at your house, personal animals, and I'm not getting rid of any of my cats. I mean, I live on 2¼ acres. They are contained on my property, and I do foster as well. And to have to pay to be a foster, that's ridiculous to have a permit to be a foster when you're doing rescue, because you never know when you're going to get another animal in. And the ones that we do foster, we take very good care of. They're vetted, vaccinated, and I just wish that the city would step up and start doing their part in vaccinations and testing, combo testing for cats, heartworm testing for dogs. That's why you have an animal control officer. And that has not been done. It's been all done through the rescue and with no compensation. And they did do compensation when they took animals to Houston Humane. So again, I'm asking for the city to step up and do their part, to have a proper holding facility, to table this ordinance, and to step up and do their part. And Mr. Oplinger, I know that, you told me before you adopted one of the first cats that we rescued, that you've been saving animals out here for years on your property. And Mr. Lands, your wife helped us with saving the Catahoula dogs. And we work together as a community and it'll make it better. I think that if everyone just works together and we revisit this ordinance after visiting with the community, the rescue, and everyone that's been working hard to take care of Manvel animals these last few months, that we could come to a better agreement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Cynthia. Next, we have Donna Jarvis. I'm sorry. Like I said, my vision's not the best. My apologies.
Sorry. I didn't know I was coming here today. I'm in my best attire.
No, you're good. I like the. What's your shirt say?
It's Pawstoberfest.
I like that.
That's the fundraiser we did last year.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Donna Jarvis. I am the founder and director of Lone Star Paws. And this was short notice, little visit. I just want to say that as the agreement that we have with you guys, I didn't know any of this was taking place. And as hard as it is for us to get fosters, for them to now have to have permits and licensing, I just want to say that if we can move this to the side and realign everything and discuss this again, that would be greatly appreciated. So that way we can, as a rescue, still stand behind the city of Manvel where we want to be and help you guys and help the animals of Manvel. But I don't think that fosters are going to want to have licenses to help. So anyways, that is all I have. I'm always nervous coming up here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Donna. You did a great job. Appreciate you being here tonight. All right. Next. All right. I'm going to misstate that. What do you think that is, Councilman? All right. It says, the address is 4815 Old Chocolate Bayou. That's okay, perfect. If you could come and state your name and address for the record, I guess I just stated your address, but if you can state your name.
That's sloppy.
No, it's my vision. It's my vision. My apologies.
My name is Diana Nickel. I live at 4815 Old Chocolate Bayou in Manvel. This was very short notice for me as well. I'm sorry, was a little underinformed, I thought. The Lone Star Paws sent me a text on what was kind of going on, that they were going to start having to have permits to keep rescue animals. I personally moved into an RV park in Manvel on Old Chocolate Bayou. And when I first got there, it was just overrun with stray cats, just overrun. And we had a stray cat who was pregnant, and we took her in and have ended up keeping 4 of her babies. And we love them dearly. And Lone Star Paws helped me to get the mother caught and fixed, sterilized so she can't have any more babies. And she had another litter, and they helped me find homes for them as well. Because, I have 5 cats now, and that's pretty much my limit. I know that Cindy in particular takes in a lot of stray animals, and she's so good at just anybody can call with a stray just showed up, dropped off a load of kittens, a dog abandoned on the road, whatever, and she's there to pick them up and help. I don't agree with the idea that having fosters, you'd have to pay a permit for that. People take in fosters to try to hang on to them so they're not in a shelter, so they have a better chance at being adopted out. And I do know that Lone Star Paws has taken care of so many animals. I had one cat show up that was a very sweet cat, and we ended up calling animal control, and they came out and said, no, this is not a stray cat. This is obviously somebody's pet. And had me call Cindy, and we went through all of that and found their owner. So it was, they're a wonderful institution. I don't know when you're living on farm property that there can be a limit on how many dogs and cats you can have. I mean, I understand if you're living in an apartment, maybe you should they can have a limit. You can't have 10 cats, but if you're living in the country, and like the RV park I live in, there are so many strays there, and people just feed them, and they just keep coming and keep having more babies. And, the Lone Star tries to come in and help us get them adopted out and get them fixed, get them sterilized, get them their shots so that we can, find them homes, because there's just so many homeless animals. They're just dumped out on the side of the road, dumped in parking lots. And I just know that they help a lot, and I think that having a fine on it would be a big disability to the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for your comments. The last public comment that we have signed up for tonight is Rebecca Quinn. Rebecca, if you could state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Quinn. I'm at 6823 Travis Street over in Lakeland. A few months ago, I stood before y'all and asked y'all to table the vote for the HHS. And I said, let the community show you that we can step up and help as rescuers. And you asked. You made a call to the community and said, step up, and we did. I remember you said, are you going to be able to vaccinate them, fix them? We've done it at our cost, not at y'all's. And we've saved so many animals. Just 2 of our animals have been fostered and sent to Pennsylvania. And we get videos on this dog going crazy, jumping into pools and having fun. Another one's going to Cincinnati next week. There's a need and a want for these animals. So I'm asking you tonight, please table this ordinance for foster and rescues. We pay already for so much. Our time, our families pay monetarily. So again, I'm asking, table it, let your community come to you and show you what we can do once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Appreciate your comments. So next, we will move on to our city manager update. Manager Dan, we'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just 5 quick updates for you this evening. The first one is the Camino development application. We were hoping to have a presentation for you tonight on that, but we're still working through the beta testing. We've got some new folks on staff, which is great, but they're looking at it with fresh eyes, which is also great. Our Development Services Director is supposed to start at the end of this month, so I'd like to bring that software application presentation to you in the first meeting in August instead. So that's why it's not on tonight. A couple other things from last week. We had a very successful week last week, leadership development wise. So we were able to sit down with all of the staff. It took 6 different 1-hour sessions, but to roll out the new mission statement that Harry mentioned a while ago, appreciate that shout out there. So our new mission statement and our core values, we were able to present that and really have a one-on-one sort of a Socratic discussion with the whole staff, and that was really positively received. We read the old mission statement and then the new one and kind of broke it down word by word, and by the end of it, every single session that we had, the staff was able to regurgitate it back to us. So it was a pretty exciting experience. Also last week we had our first meeting that I'm aware of with TxDOT. This is going to be a regular monthly meeting that we have. The area engineer, the PIO, and several others came to the meeting, and it was really good. When people deal with the city, and we've got 100 people on staff almost, it gets scary. We're just dealing with the city. What does that look like? Well, imagine TxDOT, which is even obviously much, much bigger. And so now to have names and faces and hey, this is what this person does and whatnot. So it was really good. We talked about, of course, the infamous Meridiana Parkway pork chop. They're studying that whole intersection right now to see if they feel pretty strongly that the pork chop can go away, but since it's right there across the street from Manvel High School, do any other improvements need to be made at this time? So they're actually studying that entire intersection. We talked about some of the possible signals that we've talked about before, Masters and Del Bello, County Road 58 and Rodeo Palms, Newport Lake Estates, those areas up there. We talked about the possibility for monument signs, welcome to Manvel signs, and if those go in TxDOT's right away, obviously we would need their permission. Talked about the off-system bridges as well. So anyway, just a good. It was only about an hour and a half, but again, we're going to start having these regularly, and we'll alternate them. One meeting will be here, next meeting will be at TxDOT. Last two things. So the Manvel Market it's actually happening. So the first Saturday in August, Manvel Market. That's our farmers market. I believe she's already got the website, right, Tammy, for Manvel Market. Colleen does. So she's already registered that site and everything. So it's going to be August 3rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. out at Croy Park. So that's pretty exciting. And then also this Thursday is the Fourth Fest. That's sort of I'm going to call it a joint venture because no one from Iowa Colony is in here. It's technically theirs, but we've partnered with them. I guess we came up with the flyers, right? And we put the flyers out, and so this is our first year to kind of help out. But it's going to be at the Alvin ISD Freedom Field. That's going to start. I think the fun. The brochure says the fun starts at 6 p.m. Fireworks scheduled for 9:15. And so obviously City Hall will be closed on Thursday and actually Friday as well this week. So thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next, we have the consent agenda. Any comments or questions about the consent agenda from council? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to it.
We have a motion from Councilman Hudson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Councilman Oplager. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. What is it, Councilman Perry, that you said? You said raise your marker whenever you were presiding over the meeting?
No, I think I said make your will or pleasure known with yay or nay.
Yeah, you had a certain way of saying it that I enjoyed. I enjoyed that. I haven't had the chance to tell you that. It was very, very good. Very good. All right. Rabbit trail there. Sorry, guys. I get distracted easy. All right, so consent agenda passed unanimously. Now, council, if you're good with it, what we will do is we will reconvene to the workshop in order to step into the executive session. So, Bobby, just from a formal standpoint, we have to recess the regular meeting, and then we have to call back, reconvene, and both of those take a motion, correct? Okay. So, council, what I would like to do is make a motion that we recess our city council meeting at 6:42 p.m. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed, motion passes unanimously 7-0. I'd like to now make a motion that we reconvene our workshop at 6:42 p.m. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Councilman Perry. All those in favor? All those opposed, motion passes unanimously 7-0. I will now call this executive session. City Council will convene into executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, to discuss the following. Deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. And we will step into executive session at 6:43 p.m. And Manager Dan, anyone that you need to come back and join us, please have them.
And all over town.
Not at all. All right, council will reconvene from executive session at 7:21 PM, having taken no action. And now what I'm going to do, council, is make a motion to reconvene our regular session at 7:21 PM. Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Councilman Hudson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. We will now head into our regular agenda. I'll read off this first item. Consideration and possible action authorizing the city manager to purchase a certain tract of land not to exceed the purchase price directed by city council and provided there is an existing funding source in the current budget. Dan, can you speak to this item for us?
Sure, I guess we can talk about the actual parcel now,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So it is the parcel just behind City Hall where we sit, the parcel that was formerly known as Piece by Piece, so on the other side of Stripes. This is adjacent to the property that we already own on the other side of Large Avenue. And of course, the idea is that it would be contiguous to that other piece of property. So really rounding out the City Hall complex. The one thing that we haven't had for several years is any type of a park component here. So not only more parking if you come to a court date or if you come to a city council meeting, we don't have enough parking clearly at this building. So part of it is expansion of the facility itself. Part of it is expansion of parking and then a park itself as well. So that's where we're looking for, we have a recommendation to go ahead and move forward with purchasing this property. We have done an environmental, an ESA Phase 1 on the property already, and it turned out to be clean. There nothing that calls for alarm or go to a Phase 2. So if council is ready, we are ready to move forward with this purchase.
All right, thank you, Dan. Any comments or questions from city council? Dan, can you speak to where the funding is coming from this for this piece of property?
Yes, sir. So we still have the $6 million that was earmarked for the City Hall expansion. So there were three components to that certificate of obligation in 2023. It was the police station, public works facility, and City Hall. And so we've held true with each one of those other two projects. So there's still $6 million that's available right now in the bank, if you will, for the City Hall expansion. So these funds would come directly out of that. So no budget amendment is needed, but it does obviously impact, the building cost. But so far, the draft numbers that our architect has looked at, it looks like we can afford both to purchase and still build what we are hoping to build.
Awesome. And then just to confirm, the city still owns 160 acres.
Yes, sir.
Eventually, the municipal complex will move there.
Right.
But based off of the tentative designs of what we would do here, this could still be used afterwards for community purposes.
Absolutely. When we sat down to do the programming, we first talked about a 5-year window. We've added some extra spaces because if you'll recall, as soon as we moved into this building, it was already time to expand it again too. So we've got, I think, actually a 10-year programming window in there with the idea that it's going to take a couple of years to build the city center complex. So that gives us a little bit of time in that transition. It's tough to tell, but it would not surprise me if this building right here just becomes the courthouse, if you will, and handles all of the court functions completely at some point. As Keith mentioned earlier, what we've seen as far as the citations and just the increased number of stops, it's not even linear. It's more exponential, the growth that we're seeing.
That's great. And I think, we talked about, Dan, if you can work with the team to have either on our next council agenda or the following one, a presentation or an item to show what we're going to do with the land. We talked about as council, we want to make sure to see dog park for our dog lovers, animal lovers. We want to see playground. I want to make sure that it's used for community purposes, because with the expansion of the police station, we don't have playground equipment there anymore. So we need to make sure, while we've been making investments for Croy Park, we also make investments on this side of the town. And I know council and the team here at City Hall is committed to that. And so that's a very important thing to us. And we look forward to seeing those final designs.
Yes, sir.
All right, council, do we have a motion here? Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to move forward with the purchase from Councilman Oplager. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Hudson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. And for the community, keep a lookout for the designs for that property. Council, what I would like to do is, I know we have some people here. Thank you, Pete. I appreciate you guys being here. We have Officer Sherman and some people from the community here that are very, agenda item number 5 is very important to them. I'd like to go ahead with your consent, move that up, and let's focus on that now. Any issues with that? Okay, hearing none. So we have agenda item number 5, which is consideration and possible action to approve the first of 2 readings of ordinance number 2024-027. And I will turn this over to our Director of Public Safety / Police Chief.
Good evening again. First, I want to start off by addressing the direction that we were going with this. If you recall back several months ago when we were talking about going in partners with several of our, with HHS and Lone Star Paws, some of the conversation that was given, or direction was given to me, was to strengthen our animal control ordinance. The reason why we wanted to do that is to try to prevent and to stop the abandonment or the dumping of animals, to allow our animal control the flexibility to be able to find pet owners with microchipping, and the spay and neuter, to have a spay and neuter program. So what I did was, and again, I know people have expressed their concerns about it. I understand, I get it. But this ordinance is right now a stepping stone. It's not anything that's set in stone. It's a stepping stone. It's something that we can work off of. It's a document we can work off of. And ultimately, it is the decision of council on the direction we want to go with it. So basically what I did was I reached out to other cities to look at their animal control ordinance. Matter of fact, I reached out to several cities. The one city I reached out to and utilized a lot of their ordinances is the city of Alvin. A lot of this language comes from their current ordinance that they have passed and is on the books right now. And just to go into a little bit of what we did, I made some bullet points just to give everybody ideas of kind of what we did with it. As we went through, and we changed some language in the definitions. We added the definition for microchipping. We added a definition of nuisance animal, and we added a definition for wild animal. Section 8.3, nuisance animal, we deleted any dangerous animal and added wild animal. And again, this goes back to definitions from other cities and things that we were looking at the time. Section 8.7, subsection H, is basically, we just cleaned up the language concerning the reclaiming of animals that didn't have a proper vaccination. The way our current ordinance was reading was the fact that if your animal was picked up and didn't have a current vaccination, you had to show us proof of vaccination before you could pick the animal up. Well, that didn't make sense because the animal wouldn't be vaccinated until we released it and they could go get it vaccinated. So we kind of changed the ordinance, kind of changed the language a little bit to help us enforce that a little better. Section 8-9 is new requirements for the registration of microchipping. We've always had registrations in the city. As long as I've been here, we've had pet registrations. But the microchipping is an additional to the registration. Now, the microchipping is something that, in my opinion, needs to be done. We find stray animals. It helps us find the owners of these animals. 8-10 sets requirements for a hearing to determine what a nuisance animal is. And that's basically your due process when it comes to nuisance animals. The hearing goes before the municipal judge. It's kind of like a trial, basically, but it's a hearing just to determine if the animal is a nuisance or not. Section 8.11, it sets violations for Section 8-10, which basically refers back to what would happen if you do not follow the requirements of Section 8-10. 8-12 is the disposition of vicious dogs, which gives the authority to the animal control officer to dispose of vicious animals by either adoption or other means. 8.13 sets guidelines for the determination of viciousness. 8.14 sets the regulations for animal bites, scratches, report confinement, observation, and destruction. It's one of the comments that were heard is talking about this particular regulation, but that's actually state law. If an animal bites, you have to report it. If a person goes to the hospital for an animal bite, they have to report it. This is all for rabies control. It keeps people from having to take rabies shots when they shouldn't have to. So when those animal bites or scratches that actually tear the skin or penetrate the skin are reported, then it puts the rabies control into effect, where we have to follow state law. Section 815 actually gives the authority for the destruction of rabid animals. That is more for the wild animals. It could be for the domestic animals, but more than likely with the domestic animals, we have to keep those for observation periods, and then it would go through a humane euthanization. Restrictions for 817 is restrictions for unsterilized dogs and cats, which basically it's a spay and neuter program. I actually reached out to the chief of police over at Alvin, who is over the animal control over there, and talked to him about this ordinance. And he said it passed with flying colors. There was no opposition to it because that helps reduce the animal population when you have non-spayed or neutered animals. And Section 818 is actually guidelines for an intact animal permit, and that's for animals that they're using for breeding purposes and such as that. Article 10, new kennels and catteries. This is something that was brought up in another town I used to work at. I hate referring back to other towns, but they had an issue with kennels and catteries and breeders and such as that. So they actually had to set guidelines for licensing for this type of activity. The animal rescuer permit, this is something that was put in through Alvin that basically lets us know who has a rescue group in town, because you still have to have regulations and guidelines to monitor rescue groups if we want to be a city that's proactive with it. This is just, again, do we have to charge for a permit? No, we don't have to charge for a permit. But if we have a permit and we know who's actually a rescue group, it helps our health officials and code enforcement to be able to make sure that we don't have a house that's hoarding. And there's a difference between rescue and hoarding. 851 set lines for rescue or permitting and licensing. Article 5, the animal shelter permit. If anybody wants to bring an animal shelter in, which an animal shelter is something like the Alvin Adoption Center or something like that. It sets guidelines for the permitting of an animal shelter. And the Article 5, the petting zoo, is just a general guidelines for a petting zoo, just some of the guidelines and regulations for health and sanitation for petting zoos. That's the highlights of the changes that we are recommending or that we are presenting to y'all for y'all's consideration.
Well, thank you, Chief. Council, I'm going to kick us off here. I took a lot of notes and have quite a few questions. And, Council, this is the first of 2 readings, so tonight we can either choose to table this, or if we decide to move forward, this will be on our next agenda, which gives a 2-week gap to work through anything that needs to be worked through. I want to, Chief, thank you and express my appreciation to you, Officer Sherman, for your work on this and for your work that you're doing into the community, as well for the ladies sitting there in the back. Thank you for all that you've been doing over these past few months. There were a lot of good comments made during the public comment sections of our meeting. I want to specifically just state that agendas are posted 72 hours in advance of our meetings. They're posted online, and also a Facebook post is made. An hour before the meeting tonight, an individual made a Facebook post sharing a lot of misinformation about what this ordinance is and what this ordinance does. This individual knows all 7 of us, has all of our phone numbers, but instead would rather cause contention and drive a wedge between what we're trying to do in the community than pick up the phone and call us. That person could have even submitted a public comment for tonight, but they chose not to. They chose to stir divisiveness in our city, and that's not something that I'm okay with. So let's talk through a few of the things, and I'll quote directly from this Facebook post. But I do also want to mention there was a comment made about hosting a roundtable, and I would still love to do that. There were 10 people that I reached out to about hosting a roundtable here in the city of Manvel. I only heard back from one of them. The rest just completely ignored me and never got back to me. And so for the three of you sitting back there, if you guys want to put one together, I would love to be involved with that. I know other members would. I know our team here at City Hall would. We just have to work together on that. So let's see if we can make that happen. So reading directly from the Post starts off with saying it is now going to be illegal to rescue animals in the city of Manvel. Chief and Officer Sherman, is it going to be illegal to rescue animals in the city of Manvel?
No, it is not.
Okay, thank you. Are our current partners facilitating every animal being picked up currently?
No, they are not.
They are not, okay. Officer Sherman, do you feel like the current program is working? If you want to come forward, I'm curious to feel if you feel that it's working, and if not, where are opportunities for us to improve our current program?
I think a lot of good has come from it, a whole lot of good. There's been a lot of animals taken, but we don't have space. Space is one of the biggest problems on our end. We have 4 kennels, and they're full, and when these get out, like I mentioned earlier, we've got 27 backlogged animals I need to pick up. It's going to be full for quite a while. So space and a lack of fosters, I mean, there's 40 days is too long for any animal.
And so, Officer Sherman, do we pay you just to go around in a truck and inform people we can't help? Is that what we pay you for?
No, sir.
What do we pay you for, Officer Sherman?
Enforce the city ordinances, animal control ordinances, pick up stray animals, educate the public, responsible pet ownership. I probably spend, I didn't say it earlier, but I spend 2.5 hours a day back there in the kennels, and it gets me behind on everything else because of staying full.
Yeah, and I think that the challenge that we face, as well as I know fosters face and other animal shelters face, is everybody is full. Everybody's in full. So we do not, and I'm sure you do not want to tell people no, but when we're full, and I believe we have one dog that's been there for 45 days?
Over 40 days, yes.
Because our rescue groups and other shelters and everybody we've contacted refuses to pick up that dog.
We have not had anyone pick up the dogs that are back there right now.
And that's tough, and I get it. I get, because if you pick up a dog that's not adoptable, that you can't find a home to place it in, at a certain point, if nobody's taking the dog, the reason why fosters don't like to take those dogs is because the only other option then is euthanization, and nobody wants to euthanize an animal. And so, I hope that we can find a way to make sure that we can keep those kennels empty. That would be the ultimate goal. Not keep them empty because we're refusing to pick up dogs, but because we have all of these different places where the dogs can go. But I think the statement, and I quote from the Post, that we just pay someone to go around in a truck and inform people we can't help, I think that's a slap in the face to you. I think that's a slap in the face to the 3 ladies sitting back there and all that you guys are doing in order to help our animals. Nobody wants to have to say, no, we can't pick up an animal.
Yes, sir. And to go back to what you just said about going around just picking up dogs, I do a lot more than that. I've had over, I think it was 138 follow-up calls off other animal complaints. I mean, there's a lot more into it than just picking up dogs.
Yeah, and even when you pick up dogs, there's a lot. I think Miss Cynthia said that it was, since the beginning of this year, was 50-plus dogs and cats combined that have been picked up that they've been able to help us with.
Yes.
That's incredible. And there's a lot that is involved in even that process when you do pick up the animals. So thank you,
yes.
Officer Sherman. Chief, are we going to consider rescuers a nuisance according to this ordinance?
Okay, that's kind of loaded. Do I think a rescuer is a nuisance?
No, I'm reading.
Or harboring nuisance animals?
The direct quote from this Facebook post said, rescuers are considered a nuisance if they are found rescuing animals without a rescue permit. Is that accurate?
No.
Okay, thank you. Now, this person also said, my home has to be registered as a kennel and or a cattery. Is that accurate?
A kennel or a cattery?
Correct. Yes,
No.
sir. Okay. And we'll get to why that's the case here in a second. This person also said, and I quote, Now we will be fined, making it illegal to help our neighbors and/or animals in need. Is that accurate, according to this ordinance? Okay, so we have quite a few inaccuracies here. It also says that pets on farms have different jobs than they do in subdivisions. Are we restricting people that have farms from having pets?
There's a limit.
There's a limit to animals based off of the
Based off
size-
if you are a rescuer or if you are a foster?
It's based off a rescuer or a foster, depending the size of acreage you have is the amount of animals that you are. If you have 9 or more, then you have to have an acre of land.
So if you have a farm and they are all your pets, there is no restriction on how many pets you can have that are your own. Is that correct?
Ooh, I'd have to look at that. I don't remember that one.
Because when I read the ordinance, I did not see any restriction on pets if they are your own. I saw requirements to be registered with the city if you keep these animals outside, not inside, outside, if you're fostering or if you are rescuing them.
I would have to look that to get that answer. I don't know.
It says dogs, it doesn't say pets. It doesn't make a
It
difference
just-
between your pet or
okay.
a foster, it says dogs. If you're a class 1 kennel or a class 2 kennel, if you have X amount of dogs.
That's for a rescue.
If we can just look into that and get back on that. I didn't see anywhere in the ordinance as I read through it about that. Now, keep in mind, I only had an hour to read through it, but I didn't see anything in specific to that. A few other questions here, just comments, a comment was made on social media that the city is doing nothing. Chief, from your assessment, are we doing nothing?
As far as what? Animal control?
Animal control. Are we just turning our back on our animals and saying we're doing nothing?
Oh, no, we are doing everything in our power to take care of these animals and get them the attention they need. It is like I was explaining earlier, we picked up a dog just last week that was hit by a car. We took it to the vet, cost us $700 to have the animal taken care of. One of our dispatchers is fostering that animal right now. The stitches broke up, we had to take them back, which cost the city another $700. So as far as saying we're not doing anything, I'll be honest with you, I take some serious offense to that.
I do too, Chief. I do too. Are there opportunities to approve this ordinance and to work with our partners? Absolutely. There's always opportunities to improve, and I hope that we take time and make tweaks and adjustments to improve this. But when you make statements that the city is doing nothing, to me, I take offense because that is a slap in the face to Officer Sherman and all the work that he's doing, and like I said earlier, to our partners in the community as well. Because if we're doing nothing, that's insinuating that they're doing nothing as well.
I agree.
And that's not the case. Now, we're going to have a process for licensing. That's talked about registration. We could waive that cost, of course. Explain to me a little bit of the intent and the reasoning behind that. My initial thought was the reason we have that is, we want a list of partners. We want a list of people that we know that we're going to work with, that are going to be reputable, that are doing things the right way. I would not want to take someone's animal to somebody that says they're a foster and then they abuse that animal. I don't think we're partnering right now with anybody like that. But what's the intent behind getting people registered and signed up, even if it's at no cost with the city?
The intent of that is for accountability. It's like you said, we want to make sure that these individuals are a true rescue, not somebody who says they are that don't know the first thing about what a rescue is. We want to try to prevent the hoarding. You can be a rescue group, but you don't want to have a hoarding situation to where you have 25 or 30 animals out there. That becomes a hoarding. That's not a rescue. That becomes more of a shelter, and you have to have guidelines in place for a shelter. That's the state law. But as far as a rescue group, the intent behind it is to ensure that we have persons that are truly doing it for the right reasons. The accountability, it allows our health officers and our code enforcement and our animal control to know who the rescue groups are in the city, so we can go by and spot check and make sure that we don't end up in a hoarding facility, or they are taking care of the animals the way they're supposed to be taking care of the animals.
Okay.
And the cost is it's more of just a licensing to say, here's what we're doing, and they're vetted and they're a proper rescue, because in order to be a rescue, there are certain guidelines to be a rescue. You just can't throw your hand up and say, I'm a rescuer. If I understand the way the law is.
Absolutely. Well, kind of just taking a look through there, I think everybody would agree with that. We want to make sure that we have reputable businesses, organizations, nonprofits, people that are involved in the process. Chief, can you speak a little bit to how vaccines are paid for right now? My understanding is there's been some animals that some of our partners haven't been able to take because of vaccines, because they're not vaccinated. And so it's being proposed in our budget to make sure we have the vaccines and allocate the vaccines. Do we have any animals where our partners have said, no, we're not taking them because they're not vaccinated? If you can come up here, Officer Sherman, so that way everyone can hear you. Come on back up. We're going to make you walk a little bit.
No, sir. There hasn't been anyone that said they're not taking it because of it's not vaccinated that we're working with currently.
That's good.
But rescues, I've contacted a lot of rescues, and it's the same thing. They all say the same thing. Is it vaccinated? We don't, we can't take it if it's not vaccinated because we don't want to put it in a foster home that has dogs already. Is it checked for does it have heartworms? Because that's a huge incurred expense on a rescue or anybody that takes a heartworm positive animal. So that's been holding us back as well in that regard as far as working with other rescues.
One of the things I want to expand on that a little bit, one of the things that was mentioned by one of the public comments, that it was mentioned that Officer Sherman is not doing it. Well, it's not the animal control's responsibility to administer vaccines. That's a shelter, a rescue, or something like that. We are incurring that because John is trained, certified to administer this to help the rescue groups out. So like he said, we can call these rescue groups. Yes, we've checked them for heartworms. Yes, we've given them their vaccinations. That will help us be able to help them take the dogs and try to get them into a rescue or a foster program. That's the thought behind that.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And I'm glad to hear that none of our current partners have turned away an animal for that, because as I look at that, I think that is potentially a cost that the city could incur in order to help out if it means getting an animal, a dog that's been in our kennels for 40-plus days. I'm glad that you guys are looking at that. One of the things I just want to make sure to be clear of, the way that I read Section 8-25 of our ordinance, it states specifically that if a dog relieves itself publicly and the owner immediately picks it up, they're okay. That's not considered a nuisance animal. There's no fine. There's no issues with that. It's if the owner intentionally leaves the feces, that's when then there's a penalty. So if I'm walking my parents' dogs and we're out there and they do that and I pick it up, oh, because my dog relieved itself outside, I'm now penalized. That's not the case. I want to confirm that.
No, sir, that's not the case. It's if you go walk your dog and you let it go to the bathroom in someone's yard and you don't pick it up and you keep walking, every city, or I tell you every city, every jurisdiction I know of has the same type of nuisance law as far as picking up after your pet's waste.
Yeah, and that was actually our current ordinance, the way it's drafted for the feces and for that was actually something that was spearheaded by Councilwoman Lorraine Hain, and that's what we're keeping within the ordinance. So it's not like we're adding anything new about that.
Correct.
Okay.
If I might add to that, the only thing that changed on that section is the number. That section was adopted several years ago because of complaints that were coming out of Rodeo Palms of people walking their dogs and just letting them relieve themselves in other person's yard and then walking on.
Oh, and I have no issue. I have no issue with it. I've seen that happen in my yard.
Matter of fact, well, somebody brought it up that it's new. It's not new. This was adopted several years ago, and this ordinance actually came from the city I used to work at because we had the same issue there. So this is not a new ordinance. This has been on the books for several years.
And actually, this ordinance is very similar to the city of Houston's ordinance. The reason why we see so much dumping in Manvel is because the city of Alvin and the city of Houston have adopted stricter ordinances and requirements. And in Manvel, we don't have that. We don't have ways to deter people from dumping, and we need to be more aggressive towards those criminals. Like, it's a criminal offense, my understanding, Chief, and we need to take action on that. Two other questions, and Council, I know I'm hogging time. My apologies. As I understand it, we there was some discussion, it was brought up by Councilman Lands, about giving money to Lone Star Paws, similar to what we do for HHS. Anytime HHS takes an animal, we pay them $75. And Chief, I'd like for you to give us an update on possibly any funding that might go to Lone Star Paws. But when it was discussed about partnering, which we were encouraged to not partner with HHS, to instead partner with Lone Star Paws, it was explicitly said by somebody who spoke up in the back before they walked out and disrupted the order of the council meeting that the funding is there. We will not have to pay anything if we partner with Lone Star Paws. So I have no issues with, just like with what we have with HHS, supporting financially Lone Star Paws, especially if they're helping us. That's the right thing to do. That's having integrity. But I think it's important to dispel any notion or misconception that we are refusing to financially support Lone Star Paws when statements were made in order to encourage us to enter into that agreement, to bribe us into that agreement, that the money was out there in the public. So Chief, can you talk to us a little bit about the funding and what we might be looking at with Lone Star Paws?
There was, in the agreement we had, there was never anything discussed about funding Lone Star Paws. We had discussions with them. I sat down and visited with, I'm sorry, I just went blank. Donna and Ashley. Ashley. Had conversations with them that we would donate some money based off of the animals that that Lone Star Paws took in. There was nothing ever said about a $75 that we're paying to HHS. Matter of fact, HHS has not billed us yet for any animals they've taken in. But I did tell Lone Star Paws, because they're a 501(c), I don't know if it would be, I don't know much about the tax law, but if we paid them per dog, does that make them take away their nonprofit status? But if we give them a donation based off of the animals that we send in, it would only be fair to do that. And I told them towards the end of the year, our fiscal year, when we had money aside, which we're going to have, we would donate money to the cause and the animals that Lone Star Paws took in for us.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that, Chief. Last question that I have. So there's the definition that's added as a new definition for catery. It means any building, structure, enclosure, premise, or lot whereupon or within more than 4 cats, 4 months of cattery. I'm sorry, I said catery. Cattery. As you can tell, I don't have
We in the
cats.
food?
My kids want us to get a cat, so I might have to adopt one here. Don't tell my wife. Because we have gerbils and fish. Side topic here, we tried to get some fish, and we've tried getting 4 different sets of fish, and they keep dying overnight, and we just can't figure. So if anybody knows fish, please help us out, because we can't even figure this out for fish. Our gerbils, we've kept alive our gerbils, so that's good. Anyways, I digress. We used to have a roach that died, but I don't want to talk about that, Crystal. Thank you for bringing that up. It's a sad moment in our family. So the cattery. So the way that I understand it is, if I had a home and let's say I found a cat and I wanted to take that cat into my home, I could do that. What this is saying is cattery is connected with being a rescuer, and specifically if you're keeping animals outside. So if you're keeping animals outside, not in your house, but outside on your property, you have to have an approved building, structure, or enclosure that works for them. And you have to have more than 5 of that animal that you keep in that structure. So it's not stopping somebody like the person who made the post that takes in dogs and cats inside of their home. It's not stopping them from doing that. This is saying if you are keeping animals outside in a separate structure or enclosure on your premise, that's when the cattery, and that's when the requirement comes into effect. Am I understanding that correctly, or am I misinterpreting that?
Well, cattery is not linked to just being a rescuer. It says if you have a building, structure, enclosed premises, lot, and you have more than 4 cats, you meet the definition of cattery. So arguably, if you have a house with more than 4 cats, you're running a cattery.
Okay. So we might need to...
It's not linked to just being a rescuer, even though it's in this section. The way it defines it doesn't say it's only linked to rescuer, but that could be fixed if that's the intent.
Yeah, the reason why this was put in there, again, this is to prevent those, what we call puppy mills. We can call them kitty mills, I guess you would say. A breeder that just breeds cats and sells them out of their house. That's what it's designed for. I mean, this is nothing that can be changed. I know people have cats, but I've also been in houses where there's been 25 cats in the house and we had to condemn the house. So there is a reason for this to limit, because you don't want that hoarding aspect of it. But again, none of this is set in stone. All of this is up for discussion to find the way we need to go with it. This is just a discussion and the direction that we need to go, or something we need to just talk about, so.
Yeah, Chief, I think there's an opportunity to maybe clarify that. I think Mr. Jared Jennings, when he spoke, he brought up some maybe good items that we can be clear on as to what the intent is. I think if these changes get adopted, doing a fact sheet, putting that out there as to any changes, and I think there's an opportunity to work with our community partners on this. Anything that we put together, putting together a fact sheet that could be helpful, that Officer Sherman, you could give to people, but we can also post on our city's website to make it easy and simple to understand, because I myself, when I look at that, this is a lot of information to make sense of. And so if we can do those things, that can help. But I think for the cattery, I think there might be an opportunity there to take the definition, or I think Bobby has a comment.
Well, no, I was just going to throw a suggestion. If the microchip and the neutering stuff is not controversial, if that's something that's standard practice in neighboring cities and could maybe possibly help with our dumping and overcrowding situation, maybe go with that, but delete the cattery and kennel stuff to work on later and come back with that later and split it up. Maybe might be a solution so that we can get going with a crucial element and then work on the harboring and the cattery thing.
Yeah, I
that
think
seems to be what affects the rescuers more than the other requirements.
No, I think that's a great idea. Thanks for that, Bobby. And like I said at the beginning, I appreciate everybody's comments. I appreciate the work. I want to encourage people to reach out to us. Don't just make posts on social media, but if you have issues or concerns, also come forward with ideas. I'm a firm believer, I know Manager Dan is as well, if you bring forward an issue, come also with a solution. And so those of you who are here tonight that have said that you want to work towards solutions, I personally greatly appreciate that, and I look forward to the opportunities to work with you guys. So I've taken up enough time. We'll go with Councilman Bonner next, and then we'll go with Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento after that. So thank you, Officer Sherman, for answering my questions.
So is there anywhere in this ordinance or in our other ordinance that addresses the illegal dumping of animals?
That's state law.
Okay, so as far as city fines, that's set by?
It's set by state law. Now it's kind of repetitive, but we can add an ordinance in there and just refer it to the state law.
Well, to me, that's what drives.
Abandoning or dumping animals is a Class A misdemeanor, and it's not a Class C misdemeanor, which is the ordinances. So it's a jurisdictional. Correct.
Okay.
No, sir, you're not allowed to ask questions right now. I'm sorry.
It's actually jail time for abandoning of animals.
Okay, so knowing that now, do we have any idea, have we made any arrest for dumping of animals this year?
Not this year, no.
Okay. I mean, that's probably pretty hard to catch, but I'm thinking with all of the cameras and Ring cameras and everything, sooner or later, somebody could report, hey, here's a video of somebody that dumped an animal. And to me, that needs to be, I hate to say priority, but here's someplace where we got to start someplace.
Well, just a few months ago, we actually received a report of a possible.
Excuse me, sir. So one of the things that we have adopted is our council rules and procedures. And so at this point in time, no, it's okay. But if you want to hang out, we will, after the meeting, be able to answer questions that you have. But during the time, we have to keep conversation to us. So thank you, sir.
Here recently, past couple of months, we did investigate a potential dumping. And we had one of our investigators looking into it. So if we get reports of them, we get leads that we can work off, yeah, we look into them.
Okay.
Fortunately, in this case, it was not a dumping. So.
Okay.
Or we couldn't prove it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor Pro Tem?
Couple questions that come to mind. The first one is, I really like the idea of having our community residents that want to operate as a rescuer or foster home to register with us, because again, it helps us, excuse me, to create a list of working partners. So we know where to go. We have an Excel spreadsheet, and we know who's registered, who's been vetted, because I do know of other circumstances where people would say they're fostering pit bulls and other dogs and actually fight them, just like with the chicken fights and things like that. So I do see that as a way to safeguard the animals that we're trying to to serve and to protect. I really would not like to see a high fee associated with that. As Jared Jennings spoke about, it does defeat the purpose of us trying to save our citizens money. I do understand that there's a cost associated to taking in the dogs and animals. But if our residents want to register, the more the merrier. And I would like to see a process that says, okay, you filled out a questionnaire, you're certified to be what if we did more as a city? I mean, I know that it's not our responsibility to be a shelter, but what if we did have this roundtable with our community? Why don't we look at connecting with organizations that can come and have like a microchipping day and have, multiple city days that we come together with our community where we offer low-cost vaccinations, educate the community on animal welfare, cats and dogs and those type of things, so that we are seen as a city that loves our animals, and we're not just sitting back here trying to control the animals and control everything, but rather we all love animals up here, I think, right? I mean, I just got my third rescue, Wisla, 2 weeks ago. So at the end of the day, I think that having a list of registered partners is phenomenal. Whether that's $2 or $0, I would not like to see it be a hefty fee. I agree with maybe taking out what Bobby said for the kennel and the cattery right now, and maybe look at those definitions and bring that back to like a roundtable or a discussion or executive workshop, something. But I do think that we need to have more protocol in place. Also, just as a note that on that Facebook post, which tagged me and other council members, and yes, you're right, this individual has my phone number and can call like Rebecca Quinn did the last time we had the situation, and we discussed this. This dog that has been in our possession 45 days-ish is now about to face, or is going through, what's it called, kennel craze? Kennel mania, something like that? What's
Officer Sherman, if you can come forward.
the terminology for that?
That specific dog's okay right now.
Okay, but
as far as, but it's one of the other long timers, I guess you'd say, that is having the issues, but it's just a matter of time, because I mean, it's no bigger really, than just a little bit around me, 4x4.
That's no life for a dog.
And
that's not okay.
No, and that's what happens is there's issues with the personality and the psyche of the animal, and it's just the longer they stay in the kennels, the harder it's going to be to get a rescue to take them.
So here's another question I have. It's my understanding that, like we mentioned during the workshop, some rescues will turn away dogs that they deem unadoptable, or if they don't have the means to provide for vaccinations, heartworm, and all that stuff.
The little puppy will go a lot faster than the older black dog. The white dog will go faster than the brown dog. And, it's with animals, some things adopt faster than others,
Okay, so as we discussed in the workshop, what we need to, I was going to ask the question, what are we doing? But we're not doing anything because our current partners are full. They're at capacity. And we're very thankful, like Chief said, for Lone Star Paws and the Humane Society. But at this point, they're at capacity.
Yes, everybody's.
So we need to find other shelters, rescuers, community organizations that will foster this dog that has been sitting in a kennel. Have they been made aware of this, Chief or Officer Sherman? The community?
So what I do is I'll reach out to our partners and see, do you have
Space
yet? So I keep checking.
Well, Mayor Pro Tem, I think maybe something that we could do as a takeaway from this is when we have these dogs or animals that we're keeping for a long time, making posts on social media saying this dog has been with us 30 days, this dog's been with us for 45 days. The information that I have is this dog that's been with us for 45 days, people in the community have come to foster, not adopt, but foster other dogs instead of this one, because not even our fosters want this dog. And that is my understanding based off of the facts that I've been given from our police department. And so we have other dogs that are being taken. This one's being left there because they see this one as whatever is going on with that one.
Because it's not adoptable.
And so I think if there's an opportunity there to promote that, there might be people in the community who are not aware of this, that are not aware that we have these animals. Because I didn't know until I got a tour of the police station and visited the dogs that we had this dog that was there for 45 days. So being able to promote that more might let people know that aren't a part of this network and this group that are interested in fostering, that there's dogs that are there that need your help.
Yes, sir, and I believe what will help is being able to vaccinate them and heartworm tests, mainly vaccinate them, because a lot of people in the community, which I totally understand, don't want to take a dog that they don't know is vaccinated and mix it with their own dogs at home and risk their dog getting ill. So by vaccinating the animal, it will go a long ways towards finding these additional fosters in the community.
Well, and the other thing that we were talking about is, as we stated in the previous time we had this discussion, is that a lot of these organizations that label themselves, market themselves for fundraising purposes is yes, it's purpose, but it's also it's a way to pull at our heartstrings. We're a no-kill shelter. And they're able to do that because they will not take on dogs that they know are going to sit there for a long period of time and that they can't sustain. And so at this point, we only have 2 dogs that this has happened to so far that we've had over 30 days? Or have we had more?
We have the one for the 40 plus, and then we have one over 20 now, and then the other 2 in the kennels aren't far behind.
And so it looks like, based on the trends, the number will probably keep growing. And so what can we do? Yes.
Well, just to clarify some things with our partners with Lone Star Paws is when we contact them, the process is we contact them, they reach out to other rescuers, which then they reach out to their other groups. And if we remember the conversation we had, their tree, I guess you'd say, the limbs on the tree branch out to a lot of people, a lot of groups. The problem is all these groups don't have a place for them.
That's the issue, space.
Correct. They have to find a place for the animals they have right now. Once they remove that and they find that space, then they can start coming in and taking these other animals. It's not that, I don't want to say it's not because they're not wanting to do it. They're facing the same dilemma that everybody else in this country is facing right now, is there's no room at the inn.
So with that being said, if all of those branches are all at capacity and we keep taking dogs on, that number is definitely going to grow. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dogs, because no one will take any dogs that we have that are unadoptable because there's no space.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we are working on this vaccination program. I'm not saying that's the only reason why they're not taking them, but it's sure going to help.
Okay, and what about if we did turn over a dog and we looked at our partners and said, all right, you're taking on this dog. The Humane Society has not billed us to this point, right? But here's a dog and here's $75. Are you willing to take the dog? This covers the animal being vaccinated. Or are they saying we will not take it because we don't know if the animal's been vaccinated? But how do we know if a stray's been vaccinated anyways, or if it's a dog that got lost?
We don't.
We don't know. So basically this means we would have to vaccinate every animal that comes in to then guarantee it's been vaccinated on our end and we're turning it over responsibly.
Correct.
Okay, so.
Can I ask a question real quick? So this dog that we've had for 45 plus days, it's been sitting there. And I assume over this past 45 days, we've picked up other dogs. Is that correct?
Correct.
What happens with those other dogs that we've picked up while this black dog, this little black dog, is sitting in the kennel? Are our fosters and our partner's taking these other dogs, but this one's just sitting there? I don't understand.
If I recollect correctly, I know Lone Star did take another dog that came in after that one, and then Houston Humane did the same exact thing.
So how do we fix that then, where these other dogs are being taken after we already picked up this dog? Do we make it a requirement that the oldest dog has to go first? Because, I mean, that seems inhumane to pick up these other animals that got picked, or to take these other animals that have been picked up after the fact.
Doggy
The problem, Mayor, is,
That's what it is.
yeah, I mean, people prefer one kind of dog over another, or a foster might have a home for this kind of specific dog. You know, the rescue may have a home for a dog that's a specific kind or type or temperament or whatnot. They might have kids at home. This dog might do better with kids, you know, so it's a lot of factors that go into it. But it's a preference thing. I would say by making a requirement that the oldest dog goes first or whatnot will make it even harder to get stuff out.
So
Discrimination.
what I'd like to do, Council, unless we have any questions for Officer Sherman, Ms. Cynthia Cortinas speaks and helps run our local foster network and with our community partners. I'd like to have her come forward so that way we can ask her some questions.
I like it.
Unless you guys have any other questions specifically for Officer Sherman. Okay. Ms. Cynthia, if you can come forward, we'll let you say a few words, and then we have some questions for you here.
Thank you, Mayor. I can answer your questions on that. The one dog that we did take was a 5-month-old puppy. So, yes, that dog did go to a foster. But it's not easier. Puppies are not easier. No, it's just that it was a 5-month-old puppy. That's why it went. And two, the foster was willing to take it on with what else he had at his home. We have taken every single animal, unseen, unworked with, every animal that Sherman has called us about
So will you take?
since January. If we have a foster, if we can get people, we have been posting, we created that Facebook page for Friends of Manvel Animal Control. We created that Facebook page so that we could reach out to more people and say, hey, we're trying to help animal control. We post asking for fosters. And I have a rescue that's willing to take a dog, another rescue that's willing to take a dog, but they need to know if it's heartworm positive. So I had asked Sherman, hey, can we test that dog to see if it's heartworm positive? Because if it's heartworm positive, that particular rescue has so much financial strain on heartworm positive dogs, they couldn't take it. We don't have a foster to take it. We have the capability of testing it, but we don't have a foster to take it. So if we test that dog and it comes back heartworm positive, then this other rescue that could take it, they're not going to take it because they already have 12 heartworm positive dogs
So
they're
I have
treating.
a question. How much does it cost for us to test that dog and get a positive or negative on it?
We can do it through Lone Star Paws. We have the test at the cafe.
Okay,
The
so
dog
the
just needs to be brought to the cafe.
And is there a reason that hasn't happened yet, or is this new information that we're finding out tonight? That would be a question.
Well, because if we try to go over and visit a dog when it's there, or we ask questions about it, well, we can't, then we're picking animals. That's what it's been,
Well, hold on.
we're just making a pick of what we want to take. And that's not the case. We've never just picked out what animals we want to take. We take everything you call us about if we have a foster.
Except this.
Well, that's a question. So that's a question I have, Cynthia. If you guys have the testing at Lone Star Paws,
Yes.
why has this animal not gone to Lone Star Paws?
Because we're not intaking it. It still belongs to the police department.
So why hasn't it been tested? So if
Because it's not our intake to Lone Star Paws. We have to take the dog is the way the process is, right, Chief? We have to take the
I
dog
think the question he's asking is, why haven't y'all come taking the dog? We've notified.
because we don't have a foster.
so hold on. So and this is where I'm trying to connect the pieces. So
Right.
you just said you have a foster that will take a dog if it's not heartworm positive.
No, I have another rescue that I've reached out to.
So a rescue, so you have somebody. You have
I have
somebody
another
that will
rescue.
take a dog if it's not heartworm positive.
Correct.
We have a dog that's been caged at our police station for 45 plus days that needs to be tested to see if it's heartworm positive.
Correct.
Lone Star Paws has the ability to test this dog to see if it's Lone Star positive. Why if I need to go there tomorrow and put the dog in
Heartworm
my
positive.
what am I saying?
You said Lone Star positive.
Oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. This is a lot.
Too much babe.
I mean, if I needed to just drive over there tomorrow and throw the dog in the back of my truck and take it to you guys to get it tested, I just don't know why it's been 45 days and nobody has taken this stinking dog. to get
Because
tested.
we're expected.
Beautiful dog.
It's my understanding that Lone Star Paws is expected to then take possession of that dog, and it's our dog.
Is that the case?
Because that's that's the only time we get to see a dog is when we tell them, okay, we're going to take the dog. So then we take the dog, or I go pick it up, or Sherman brings it to my house. Every animal I think has come through my house. So we bring the dog, and then from there I take it to the cafe, get it vaccinated, get it tested, get all the things that needs done, and then I take it to the foster. So that's kind of the process that we have. So, but the reason we haven't taken him is because we don't have a foster for me to pass that dog to. I currently have a dog at my house that was dumped on Bissell, and it was at the air park for almost 2 months. This man was feeding it because Sherman couldn't pick it up. And then I found out that the dog was chipped. When I finally took possession of it, the dog was chipped. I contacted, it wasn't a registered chip, but I contacted the vet, and they found out who the person was, one of their customers that bred German Shepherd dogs, and that dog's chip number was in their system. So the vet tried to get a hold of them. I've tried to get a hold of them. They won't return the call. They won't respond, and I think Sherman's been working on that to try to find to talk to those people. We have their address, we have their phone number.
My mom has 7 German Shepherds. She'll take one.
Well,
so let
she's
me-
a doll, I'm telling you. She's a sweetheart. Her name's Jenny.
So can we just pause for a second
So,
about this dog
yeah.
for 45 days? If you guys can test the dog, can somebody take the dog to you guys to be tested? How long has this foster been ready to take a dog?
It's a rescue, so I'll have
Rescue.
to call them.
So I mean, what I'm asking is, you've
Right.
known that this rescue will take a dog. How long have you?
Yes.
How long have you known that they've been willing to take a
It's
dog?
been well over a month, probably since we couldn't take it. Probably since we couldn't take the dog, because we have taken every single animal that y'all have called us about.
I have a
So,
question.
since January.
So
So-
we've had a dog in a cage, because I saw the dog. It was whimpering. It broke my heart. We've had a dog in a cage for a month. You guys have been able to test it. You have a rescue that's willing to take it, but we just haven't gotten the dog.
That was willing to take. I don't know if they still are because I haven't reached back out to them, but I will do that.
Okay.
And I will do my best to find someone to take it. But we have to have, those are certain things that some rescues require. Lone Star Paws has been unique. We haven't required anything from the city at all. Okay, yes, I have a foster, Sherman, I'm coming to get it, or bring it to the house. We take every single animal, and that's unique because a lot of rescues they won't because they have a financial burden. It's like $1,200 to $1,500 to treat a heartworm positive dog.
So on that note, my dog came back heartworm positive. She's 6 years old. She's of Hungarian Vizsla. And from our experience, our antibiotics cost $13, and she was on antibiotics for 2 weeks.
The
Doxycycline. That's it. Why don't we, when we bring in a dog, automatically assume it has it? And if it's with us for more than 2 weeks, why not give it doxycycline? It's so cheap to just give it to them and say, they've been on a round of antibiotics for 2 weeks. We don't know if it's heartworm positive or not. Is that, you're shaking your head. I don't know if that's a solution or not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It was something else.
It was something different, not your conversation.
Okay.
For the doxycycline, it's supposed to be for 30 days, and then they have to go to the vet for a shot, and then they wait a certain period of time, and they do a second shot, and then they retest.
And so that costs $1,200?
Yes.
Didn't cost me $1,200, cost me like...
Was your dog high heartworm positive or low heartworm?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I just
'Cause
gave her
there's a difference.
doxycycline and she's perfect.
Well, so hey guys, let's
Right.
pull this back for a second here. So
Yes,
what
Mayor.
I would like to see us do is, if somebody can take the dog tomorrow, if you guys are able to test, you're saying that you can test.
But we have to have the vet tech there to pull blood. That's the only thing. But
let's get-
Sherman can pull blood. Yeah, Sherman can do it.
Let's just figure it out.
We have the test.
Yeah, let's get this dog tested. Cynthia, if you can reach out to that rescue and see if they're still willing to take it. Let's get the dog tested if it hasn't been tested. What I would like to do is, I'm frustrated right now. You can probably see that. Not over this ordinance, but we all have to get on the same page here. And I think we need to have a sit-down conversation. I'll again mention that, as I mentioned previously, we need to have a sit-down conversation and have a very frank and honest conversation, because stuff like what was posted on social media should not be posted on social media. I have many times given out my phone number, 936-230-0869. You can call me night or day. I'll answer it. If I don't answer it, I'll call you back. There's no reason to be blasting the efforts of what you guys are doing and what the city is doing in order to make a political statement because you don't like me as mayor. It's okay. You don't have to like me. We've got to get this figured out. We have to get this figured out. We have to get on the same page, because we have dogs that are going crazy in the kennel because we are not on the same page.
Right.
So I don't have anything else to say. I'm frustrated, but let's just get this figured out. Council, whatever you want to do regarding this ordinance, we just need to get some things figured out. So any other comments or questions from council? What would you guys like to do tonight?
I'd like to take Bobby's recommendation and table the area that he said, and maybe pass something now so we can get something moving and keep it a working document, as Chief said. We need action and we need solutions, but I definitely don't want our neighbors to have to pay fees for being registered, and I don't think we should limit as much. I think the limitations might be a little too much. Or maybe we just table it as a whole.
That's another option. Table it as a whole, or if you want to go forward, you could approve it with the deletion of Article 2, kennels and catteries, and possibly Article 3, which is a real small article requiring an animal rescuer permitting and license. I don't know if
Manager
that's
Dan
also.
and Chief, would you guys be on board with that? And we have 2 weeks between now and the next reading as well, if we need to make any tweaks and take a look at it.
I don't have a real issue with it, but if we're going to go that route of having rescuers all through the city, we need to have some type of registration.
So that can just come later, though.
Yeah, but that can come later. This is, I think we need to, like Bobby said, we need to strengthen the ordinance, what we have, and we can look at those other articles later as we move forward with the process.
Chief, may I say something? As far as Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, ma'am, you can. Thank you for asking.
So as far as the rescue registration, everybody that we have as a foster is registered through Lone Star Paws. So they would be able to give you that information.
That's fine, but we haven't got to that point yet.
Yes, sir.
But I understand, I
Okay,
got a mental note of it.
okay,
Because
thank
what
you.
we can do is maybe if there's an opportunity over the next 2 weeks before the first reading, the second reading, we can build that in or revisit it at another time. So, Councilwoman, let's make an amendment to this ordinance first. Would you like to make that amendment? Or do you want me to make it?
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like to make an amendment to ordinance 2024-0-27 to strike Article 2 and 3 from the ordinance. Do I have a second? Okay, we have a second from Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento. Now we have the ordinance as amended in front of us. Do I have any comments, questions? Okay, I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-0-27 as amended. Do I have a second? We'll give that to Councilman Oplager, the second. All those in favor? All those opposed? We have one opposed, so motion passes in a 6-1 vote. What I would just like to ask, Dan, if we can just make sure to have this on the regular agenda at our next meeting, and let's have, Cynthia, if we can make sure to have a conversation over the next 2 weeks to see if there's anything else that needs to be adjusted, let's please do that. So, thank you, everyone.
Will you be in touch, Dan, on a day and time?
Yeah, we'll connect. We'll connect. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay, agenda item number 2, consideration and possible action to approve the contract for planning services between Manvel EDC and Next Move Group for an economic development strategic plan, forwarded with favorable recommendation by MEDC, vote 5-0. And Tammy, we will turn this one over to you.
So, I thought Donald was still here. At the last EDC meeting, they took action to approve an agreement with a company called Next Move Group to do their, oh, wait a minute. Sorry, I thought I was looking at the consent, thought I was talking about the wrong item. To do a strategic plan. So anything the EDC does when it comes to agreements, it has to come to council for a final approval. So it did pass the EDC unanimously. If approved tonight, the Next Move Group will be here the week of August the 5th for little mini one-on-one sessions. they've conducted or drafted an email that will go out to different entities throughout the city and the county for either in-person mini sessions to ask some questions or an online survey as well. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Any comments or questions from council?
What is it for approving then?
So this is an agreement that the EDC, between the EDC and Next Move Group, which is a consulting company, to help the EDC draft their strategic plan in regards to how they want to see business come in, what type of business do they want to come in? Is it industry? Is it industrial? Is it an airport, hotels, whatever business they want to see come in? And then as well as determine where they're at in the phase of an economic development director. Correct. The sales tax dollars that they collect are for the purpose of doing projects as well as something like this.
Thank you.
Great question, Councilman. Councilwoman, or Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento.
I just saw that we're trying to approve $30,000 for this consultant. Do we know what the scope of work includes or the time frame?
So that's it. The scope of work, the time frame is 120 days, which is in that agreement. And then the scope is essentially drafting a strategic plan, which consists of meeting with the EDC. There'll be meetings with y'all, meetings with employees, meetings with businesses within the community, as well as some of the county constituents.
Okay, so this includes the full scope, the full consulting, all of it for 120 days for a total of $30,000.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Great questions, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other comments or questions? Well, I applaud our EDC for moving forward with this and establishing a strategic plan aligning with our 20-year strategic plan that we're working on. This has been a long time coming, and it's been much needed. So, Tammy, thank you for coordinating all of it with the EDC, and excited to see this happen. Do I have a motion from council regarding this agenda item? We have a motion to approve from Councilman Bonner, and we have a second from Councilman Perry. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Next, we have consideration and possible action to approve the first of two readings of ordinance number 2024-0-25. I have this as being Ian. Oh, you are? Okay, awesome. I wasn't sure. You were new. I see you sitting there. I was like, oh, what are you here for tonight? Hey, how are you doing? So can you tell us what you think about dogs and rescues? The...
Big dog? Little dog.
Come take a look. You never know. You might see. So anyways, that's completely off topic. Ian, what do you have for us tonight?
Joe. Joe Newton.
Oh, Joe?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ian's my colleague. He's out sick today.
Okay, my apologies, Joe.
Yeah. No problem at all. And so to begin, this is a specific use application for a nail salon. This is going to go in the Town Center PUD, Plan Unit Development. This is also falling in the South Highway 6 overlay district as well. This has already gone before PD&Z, and it was recommended for approval with conditions. There are two noted conditions, one of which is that the lobby area must maintain a direct line of sight to the exterior, and then all doors are to remain unlocked during hours of operation. With those two conditions, it has been recommended for conditional approval by PD&Z to council.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. I have it written down. I got it this time. Any comments or questions for Joe from council? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion for this agenda item?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, a motion with conditions, Mayor Pro Tem?
With conditions.
Perfect. So we have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Councilman Hudson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Agenda item number 4, and Joe, we're sticking with you. Consideration of possible action to approve the first of two readings of ordinance number 2024-0-26.
All righty, thank you, Mayor. Similar to the last request that we just heard, this is also a specific use permit request for urgent care rather than a nail salon. We have done a parking analysis. One has been submitted. Per the parking requirement of 1 per 300, they would have to provide a minimum of 27 spaces. They are currently providing 30, so they're at +3 per the requirement. Similar to the last request, this was also heard before PD&Z, and they have submitted a recommendation for approval of this request with 5 noted conditions. The 2 same that we just heard about as far as having a direct line to the lobby area and then remaining unlocked at all hours of operation. In addition to those, I think I needed to just go ahead in the application. Excuse me. I will read off my phone for this. There are 5 noted conditions, one of which is for the unlocked doors, one of it is for the exterior line of sight to the lobby area, an additional one for all development requirements must be satisfying during the permitting process. All dry detention ponds shall have a minimum 15-foot maintenance berm around all sides of the pond unless otherwise approved by the engineering criteria manual deviation. And the facility is permitted to be open for 24 hours a day, which is in contrast to normal hours of operation for businesses.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Of course.
Do we have any comments or questions from council?
This is the one, I'm sorry. This is the one that has to be construction has to start within 1 year.
Correct. Yes.
These are the people that put up the sign before they came to the city.
I'm not familiar.
This is the one on Highway 6. They were going to build a facility, and then the land was for sale, and now it's back on.
I'm not aware.
Yeah. I just noticed the sign.
It's the one right next to Sonic.
Right, yeah.
And I guess just point of clarification, that says urgent care, but it's actually ambulatory healthcare services.
Ambulatory services, yes.
So it's a little bit different than the normal urgent cares that we have coming right now. This is one that's proposed to actually be more of an ER, was
Yes,
my
I
understanding.
believe so.
Right.
Yeah, the new typical.
Thank you, Joe. Any other comments, questions? Okay, I have a few. I don't think the applicant is here at all.
They were supposed to be in attendance tonight.
They were?
Yeah.
And then they left? Okay, because I have a lot of concerns about this. I'm wanting to know, who's operating it. I watched the PD&Z meeting. They said that the guy was involved with 3 others, but that he operated one in Lake Jackson. I don't see one existing in Lake Jackson. That's not a major facility. Curious about that. I'm concerned about the traffic. During PD&Z, they made this statement saying that once they got the permit, the SUP approved, then they would be going to TxDOT about a median cut. But right now, they have to go past, an ambulance would have to go past, make a U-turn to then come back in. That's a little concerning. Joe or Manager Dan, have they submitted a traffic impact analysis, or do they have to submit that at all?
They have not submitted one at this time.
Okay. So we don't have that to take a look at. What about drainage? I didn't see on their site plan any drainage mitigation.
They have not submitted drainage at this time either.
Okay. Taking a look here, I know they had mentioned during PD&Z that they would be probably contracting with 2 private ambulance services. Do we know who those are at all?
I'm not aware.
Okay, because we also have an ambulance ordinance that they would have to abide by. And I know they haven't talked with the ESD yet. And so these 2 private providers, if they don't abide by our ordinance, then they wouldn't be able to operate there. So I don't know if they've looked into that at all. Do you guys know? Okay. Yeah, Council, I have a lot more questions than I do answers with this and would feel uncomfortable approving it at this time. I don't want to vote against it, which would then table it essentially or remove it for up to 90 days. I don't know what you guys think about tabling it, having it come up at our next meeting. Maybe the applicant will be able to be here. We can maybe bump this up to be the first agenda item for him, so we can ask some of these questions. What do you guys think about that? Good with that?
I agree. I have some concerns. More information about this ER that's coming in. I know there's been some trends in some ERs opening up and not having the financial stability to keep them open, especially after COVID. So we just have some more questions about it to bring some clarity. Not that we want. I'm not for it. I have more questions.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Council. I'll make a motion to table agenda item number 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Opliger. All those in favor of the table? All those opposed, motion passes unanimously 7-0. Thank you, Joe. You did a great job filling in for Ian. And Dan, I believe that we do have a new city employee that was here tonight, Jessica. So Council, if you've not met Jessica, she started, I believe, last week. Is that correct? So you're an Aggie, so hired another Aggie there. And Jessica, what is your official job title?
Assistant City Planner.
Assistant City Planner. Awesome. Well, welcome. We're excited to have you. the assistant city planners with the fist in the air. Awesome. All right. Agenda item number 6. Consideration and possible action to approve resolution 2024-R-22. Ms. Tammy Bell.
So we did this in October as well, if anyone wants to put their thinking caps on, when we did the joint resolution for a public hearing for an amendment to the zoning ordinance. So whenever we do anything with the zoning ordinance, typically it's specific to property, and we send notices to the neighboring properties within 200 feet of that property, and we publish a notice in the paper for the hearing. But when you're amending the entire zoning ordinance, then the requirements would be either we could do a mailing to every resident in the city, or the city council can adopt this resolution that gives us the option to not have to do a mailing to every single resident, but rather have a joint hearing and publish that here, how we're going to notify them, which would be publish a notice in the paper. So this resolution is to schedule a joint hearing. It would be on July the 22nd at 6 p.m. That is a city council night, but you guys have a 5 p.m. workshop that evening, so you'll still be having it'll be a night you all are here already. So the ask is to have that 7/22 joint workshop at 6 p.m. for a joint public hearing, and that's what this resolution would accomplish.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Would this involve a public hearing by council regarding ADUs? Would that be included in this?
So that it's you only need one joint hearing, and that's what that would be on.
Okay, perfect. Because I was going to ask I know PD&Z has spent the past month and a half discussing the very fine details of the ADU, and they've done a great job having a robust discussion. And I think it's at the point now where that needs to be on our next agenda. So let's get a recommendation from PD&Z at our next meeting, get that on an agenda. I know other cities are considering doing this, and we have an opportunity to lead the way and set the standard, and I want to take advantage of that. Yes, ma'am.
So it won't be on your next agenda because your joint hearing is on June 20 or July the 22nd. Is that what you're meaning?
So we have our next meeting the 15th, and so this is supposed to be the 22nd?
Correct, which would be a joint hearing, unless you just wanted an update on your next agenda to see where the EDC or the PD&Z was at on their discussions.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd like to do is let's do, discussion and possible directions to staff regarding it, so we can get it on the agenda and we can start discussing it, but we can't adopt anything until after the public hearing. So we can start our discussion, have the public hearing, and then hopefully get something approved on August 5th. Would that be doable?
Yes, PD&Z could take action after that joint hearing, the night of the 22nd, to forward it to you after that, so yes.
Okay, yeah, and really, my expectation for PD&Z would be on the 8th, they have everything wrapped up, so then on the 15th, we can see what they're ultimately going to be voting on, because at that point, it's going to be over 2 months for them that they've been discussing this. I want it to be where it's before us, because they've had plenty of time to discuss it.
It's set up so that if there aren't any changes and everybody's on board, PD&Z can make that recommendation that night, and then it can go directly to council at the council's next meeting. If you want, have any questions or rework a section or whatever, then it would go back to PD&Z, and then when they were done with it, it would come to you with the recommendation. But it could be set up so that council could do it after their next meeting after this joint public hearing.
Okay, my big thing is whatever we need to do to, all right, we've had plenty of discussion. We can't let perfect be the enemy of good. Let's get it before us, and let's have a council's discussion with it as well. Okay, so we need a vote. Does anybody have a motion for agenda item number 6? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-R-22. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Did you raise your hand? Oh, we have a second. Okay, we have a second from Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. Agenda item number 7, consideration and possible action to fill the vacancy on the Manvel Parks Board. Council, as you know, at our last meeting, we appointed the Parks Board. Unfortunately, someone had a change of life circumstances between the last meeting and this meeting, and they had to step down from the Parks Board. Mr. Samuel Miller said that he was still very much interested in being involved. You'll see he has a very extensive resume and would love to be appointed. So that's what we have before us tonight. And so I would like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Samuel Miller to serve on our Manvel Parks Board. We have a second from Councilman Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed, motion passes unanimously 7-0. Agenda item number 8, consideration and possible action to authorize the expenditure for furniture, fixtures, and equipment for the new public safety building from funds allocated in the current fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. To you, sir. I still get confused as if I should call you Director of Public Safety or Chief. We're going to have to get that.
Whatever you wish. This time of the night,
You're like, I don't care. Let's
just say go.
go.
This item is requesting authorization for the expenditure of funds for our FF&E budget for the police station. I've been working on this budget for quite some time now. We've been working with the subcontractors, trying to find the best bang for our bucks, I guess you would say. But we're at a point now to where we have to identify some of our contractors so they can start working with the construction company. So what we've requested tonight is the allocation and the authorization to expend funds that we currently have in this year's budget to authorize the expense to pay for, or to set the money aside to expend this money for the contractors we need to get in place. And I just started rambling because it's late.
Well, thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. We have a question from Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento.
Are you getting comprehensive quotes on all these networking from different people? Or is it just from Datavox?
No, we received several quotes from other contractors.
Which ones? If you can remember. I know it's late.
We have received quotes, you talking about just for the networking?
Networking,
For the
all of
security,
the telecom stuff.
for the security side, we received quotes from Datavox, a company called NCS, a company called Fisk. Audio visual, we only received one quote from Datavox.
Okay.
The networking, we received a quote from Datavox and another company called Sequel.
Sequel?
Sequel.
Okay, that's interesting. And are these the least expensive ones?
Datavox come in with the, I guess you can say I don't want to say least expensive, that sounds.
I know they're very pricey.
Yes, they came in with the best price based off of the information that we have. Some of it, one of them is a little bit higher, as far as we can look at the security side of it is a little bit higher, but the thought process behind it is to have one company doing all three instead of piecemealing it with multiple companies.
So one person to hold accountable.
Datavox came in a little bit higher on the actual security side of it. Actually, let me back up a little bit. I'm looking at the old quote. The new quote, they're significantly lower than the other companies.
Okay.
So, yes, when I was looking at the quotes, I was looking at the other companies on the old side of it. The new quotes are quite a bit less.
I'm just looking at this, and this is, so if we approve this budget to move the money over, the $1.5 million for basically tech, it's all tech, networking, audiovisual equipment, computers, right? It's all the networking, the cabling, the phone system, the internet, all that good stuff.
And Southwest Solutions is more of the storage facilities, the storage locker rooms, the evidence lockers and such as that.
For your cabinet space and stuff
Correct.
like that. Okay. So this is a huge contract, $1.5 million. That's huge. And this doesn't include the cost of the actual services, does it? Of Xfinity or AT&T or somebody
No,
hosting
we're-
the actual phone and the internet and the connectivity?
We're already paying those services. It's just going to transfer over.
So we're just but you're gonna have to upgrade that because you're not gonna be able to sustain the same amount of services at the new building. So is that included in this budget?
The services are going to move over. As we grow, that cost is going to get higher
Yeah.
because we're going to have to pay for our telephones.
So
our
this is just for hard equipment, not for the sustainability and the services of it.
Correct. As the department grows, that number is going to grow as well. as far as our network. The internet service is going to be the same.
It's not going to be the same. I can guarantee you it's not, because if you're growing, it's based per user, it's based per speed, it increases.
That'd be something we'd have to get with the IT department on, because they handle the internet side of it.
Yeah, this is just the hardware. We know that the hardware has to operate with the services. If not, it
This is just the
doesn't.
installation of the hardware and the equipment.
So the build out. And what are we doing for the redundancy? Like, where's the backup for all of this? Is that going to be housed on site, off site? Does this include any of that
It's offsite already.
with a different provider or through Datavox?
That I don't know, but I just wanted to mention on the bidding. So Datavox has been selected even back with this building because they're on the HGAC buy board. So which was a huge help, because we've got one company that's managing all of that. But yes, there is redundancy. I could talk to you about that offline, just because of the secure location.
Of course.
But and I also wanted to clarify that, so this isn't moving money. Council's already approved the moving of the money, but because these are such large contracts, the city manager's 50,000 is the limit that I can sign off on. So that's why we brought this before you all, because the numbers are much larger than that.
I just want to make sure that this is the best bang for our buck. I know Datavox is reputable. I know they're probably one of the best in their game, and they offer turnkey solutions. But I also know that when they come across contracts of this size, they kind of like to milk it. So, and I know that from experience.
This has not just been a decision that I've made. It's a decision that myself, Wale, and our IT department has made. And we've had many discussions with them off of this, along with discussions with the other companies that we were considering.
All right. That gives me peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other comments or questions from council? Hearing none, do we have a motion to authorize the expenditure? We have a motion from Councilman Bonner. Do we have a second? We have a second from Councilman Perry. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 7-0. We now have update on the status of the TIFR ordinance. Go.
Yeah, it didn't. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like it's my night. Just an update on the TIFR ordinance. I know that there was a request to have it presented, to have it available for a presentation tonight. We've been working on that. For those of y'all who don't know who the TIFR ordinance is, that's Texas Food Regulation, Texas Food Establishment Regulations. We are currently working under the 2015 version of the TIFR code. We are updating it to the 2021 TIFR code, which there are some changes that come along with this adoption of the code. We were working on that. I had it all ready to go, had Bobby looking at it, working on it, and then I realized that there's another ordinance that pertains to this as well. So I had to back up, punt, and look at that ordinance and make corrections and changes on that ordinance, and that's basically what set us back. So we will have it ready to go for the next council meeting. We're like 98% there, but we weren't comfortable presenting it tonight because we were just needing to finalize that other section, which is Section 35, which falls under the permitting and such that for the mobile food units.
Mayor, if I could so if you recall, several months ago, we brought all of the other codes, the International Building Code and Residential Code and Fire Code, all the other ones up to 2021. So this is the only one that's left to bring it up to. It seems odd to 2021 is current, but considering the next one will be 2024, and so there's always a little bit of lag there. But anyway, this is the last one remaining.
Awesome. Thank you. So we hopefully next meeting we'll have something before us is what we're targeting there, or? Yep.
More than likely, I probably, yes, we'll be there.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. That brings us to mayor and council comments. Only comment I have is BCCA is being hosted here in Manvel this month. Tammy, can you kind of share us the date, time, and location for that? And for those that don't know, BCCA is the Brazoria County's Cities Association. We meet once a month. A different city hosts each month as an opportunity to get together, connect, and network. So excited to have it hosted here.
So it will be on Wednesday, July the 17th. It's always the third Wednesday of every month. The secretary of the BCCA should be getting me the agenda to send out to everybody this week. It will actually be at Church on Masters Road. The speaker, oh goodness, Mayor for the speaker, is he with the Houston Rockets? Is that what you said?
No, he is not. He runs a nonprofit called Somebody Cares. They do disaster relief, and he's also wrote a lot of books about leadership and finishing strong. So his name's Doug Stringer, and he's going to be talking to us about when times get tough to continue to persevere and push through and run the race all the way to the end.
So that will be the speaker, and I'll get that email hopefully out this week. And then if anybody, I sent an email for door prizes. If anyone had any door prizes they wanted to donate or have contacts to reach out to for door prizes, be greatly appreciated. And Mr. Bonner's done a great job and has several for us as well.
I thought we said it was at the other.
Church on Masters Road. Right down, if my directions are right.
I misunderstood you earlier. I thought you said something else.
Well, I'll bring some. My son's been growing succulents, so I'll bring some succulents that we can either put on tables or give those away as raffles. So, Council, if you guys have any, hope to see you all there, and let's get some of those raffle items. Councilwoman Sarmiento, Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento.
Who's catering?
So it's going to be Italiano's. It'll be lasagna and chicken Alfredo.
The best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
I'm there.
A lot of carbs too.
Not unless you pick out the chicken.
All right, any other council comments? None? All right, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? We have a second we'll give it to Councilman Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 7-0. Bobby, is USA winning?